A pleasant good evening and welcome to Pete Andamarino Stadium on the campus of Gateway High School in Monroeville, Pennsylvania, as the Gateway Gators host the Penn Trafford Warriors. It's homecoming night here in Monroeville as the 5-1 Gators take on the 4-2 Penn Trafford Warriors. Adam Gusky, Vince Russo on the call for you here on the NFHS Network and the Trib Live High School Sports Network. Good to have you along with us this evening. And Vince, this is a game every year that means so much for both of these football teams heading into the playoffs.
It's the battle of the bell, but beyond that, this has traditionally been the matchup of the two teams that go head-to-head for the Big East Conference title each and every year. We saw that hold true last season. Penn Trafford won 15-10, stopped Jaquan Reynolds late in the game on a drive for the Gators trying to win that game, and then the Gators finished second in the conference, and this always seems to go a long way in determining seeding in the playoffs, who's going to be playing who in that first round. Last year determined who might get a bye, who might not. Both of those teams did end up getting a bye in the first round, both the Gators and the Warriors. But this year, with Franklin Regional at 2-0, both of these teams with one loss, Adam, this game is crucial. Whoever wins this game tonight is going to be in the driver's seat of locking up one of those top two spots, which would automatically get them in the playoffs. You drop two losses with only 5 conference games, suddenly things get very murky, and you've got to start to beg for a wild card position, which at that point you don't control your own destiny. The committee will make the choice on who those two teams are.
How about that offensive explosion from the Gateway Gators a week ago at Hempfield? 60 total points, including 53 in the first half.
8 drives, 8 touchdowns. You really can't draw it up more perfectly than that. Brad Birch, 18 of 23, over 330 yards, 4 touchdowns, rushed for another. He's looked great. 7 touchdowns in the past 2 games. Jaquan Reynolds, over 125 scrimmage yards, catching the ball, running the ball. 3 scores, just what the doctor ordered. We saw them sort of break out against Plum in that first half, but then they sort of went into the shell. Now, they only played one half last week with the starters, but they did enough to where that was all they really needed. And coming into a big rivalry game, Penn Trafford has not been able to score points the way they did last year. Graduated Cade Yakimelli, he's at Wisconsin now. Colin Green, he's graduated. They have a new signal caller under center. And so for the Gators, if they're able to score points, they can make life very difficult for the Warriors.
Penn Trafford a week ago scored 28 points, but like you said, had trouble doing so, especially early on, a slow start against the Knights.
Yeah, Colin Green did have a couple passing touchdowns, but it took them a little while to get the motor running in that game. And, against Hempfield, who the Gators just took it to, scored only 17 points, were shut out in the second half. Hempfield scored the final 21 points in that game. And so offense has been a struggle for the Warriors, just as it has for the Gators at various points this season. But, this is one of those games where you kind of feel like you throw the records out the window. These two teams, anytime they do battle, feels like we're in for a really good game.
It's going to be a fantastic game between two longtime rivals in the eastern suburbs of Pittsburgh. And like you said, the Battle of the Bell, a bell that dates all the way back to the 1920s. It lasted until the 1950s when Penn Trafford began their merger and Gateway began their merger. And then it was brought back in 2008.
Yeah, and the Gators going to look for some payback after falling last season, losing 15-10. And they get the chance. They lost on the road last year in front of a packed crowd. A lot of folks here at Andamarino Stadium. They're looking to try and settle the score here on their home turf.
Setting the scene for our radio audience, Gateway, gray jerseys, black pants, near sideline with the black lids, gold Gators emblazoned upon their helmets. Far sideline, Penn Trafford Warriors. White tops, green bottoms, green lids with the arrow on both sides. And we are underway in Monroeville, PA, as this ball will carry all the way back towards the 2-yard line where it'll be returned by a Gateway Gator. Finds a crease for a moment out across the 25, and then he will be driven back and brought down. Kenny Lewis on the return for the Gateway Gators.
Here comes that Gators offense. These two teams, one thing is for sure, both of these teams love to get after it on the defensive side of the ball. Both have playmakers on offense. But the thing that we always see between Penn Trafford and Gateway is physicality. These teams don't like each other. They know that when these two teams play, everyone from around the WPIAL is watching to see which team's going to come out on top. So there's a lot of pride in this game and a lot of physicality.
Shotgun formation for Gateway. It's Birch off of play action, tossing down this near side right, has Dallas Harper open, and Harper cannot pull that one in as it came to the near sideline. And yes, that is Dallas Harper wearing a different jersey tonight, wearing 13, not number 5 as usual.
He switched it up. Remy Bose wearing 32 tonight, throwing back to the number he wore last season. And that one just looked like it drifted a little too far out toward the sideline. Birch was so excellent last week, but that one just a touch off the mark there. Could have had 6 there if he would have put that one on a rope.
Hand off, Reynolds finds a crease to the left, drives his way out towards the 30-yard line before being brought down. Tackle on the play by Terrence Cole Tarabella for Penn Trafford.
Reynolds averaging almost 5 yards a carry thus far on the season, 3 touchdowns last week. I think the Gators are at their best when this offense flows through him, both catching the ball out of the backfield and getting an adequate amount of carries, which we saw him do last week.
Trips right for Birch, 2 receivers to the short side left. Looking to the near side, the pass complete. Malachi Moore pulls that one in, drives his way across the 30 towards the 32, but he will be brought down by Bryce Martin for Penn Trafford. And the punt unit will come out for the Warriors.
Good job there by Penn Trafford, just keeping everything in front of them, knowing where the sticks were, where that line to gain was, and making sure to be, let the guy catch the ball, but be sure tacklers after that. They did just that and forced the 3 and out.
Cole Plaskin will kick it away for the Gateway Gators. Catches a good snap and will get this one away. And Peter is called as the ball will bounce to the far sideline and roll dead at around the 33-yard line as it's downed by Demetrius Harper.
He's lucky that one sort of went up and then died quickly and came down in a nosedive. It was an odd kick there from Plaskin, and he had a lot of time. There was really no rush coming from the Warriors there. Luckily, he was able to get that one off and get a good bounce, because if not, that had the potential to land at about the 45-yard line, but they got about another 12 yards out of it.
Pistol formation for the Penn Trafford Warriors. QB Conlon Green running to the left. Green, 6'4", 250, big-bodied QB. Physically looks like Ben Roethlisberger as an example. Green picks up a few, and it's second down, and we'll call it 6.
He's the kind of runner that's going to wear people down over the course of a game. Going to force more than one guy to get in there to bring him down. Green actually getting attention from Temple. He has an offer for his prowess as an edge rusher on the defensive side of the ball. So not very often do you see, sometimes you'll see a quarterback play corner, safety. Very rarely do you see a quarterback also playing edge rusher.
So Green in the shotgun, 2 receivers right, a wing and a receiver to the left. Green's going to run to the right, tries to turn the corner, and he'll be hauled down. And like you said, initial contact not enough to make the stop, though Ricariel was the first Gator there.
He's going to have to lean on that if he's going to want to be successful tonight going through people, because he does not look, at least early these first 2 plays, to have the speed to be able to get past Demetrius Harper, guys out on the edge for the Gators. Every week the Gators bring so many athletes out onto the field, and for these offenses, they're going against a defense that is faster than most of the defenses they're going to play, if any, throughout the rest of the season.
Green, shotgun all by himself back there. He's going to run to the right. He's going to be met at the line of scrimmage and driven back. A gang of Gators there leading the charge. Remy Bose amongst others. That'll bring up 4th down and a long one, and it's decision time for Gateway teacher John Ruane.
Just an excellent job there. Look how many black helmets get in there, how many Gators flock to the ball and just start pumping those legs, driving the ball carrier back. And it looks like they might at least keep the offense on. We've seen a lot of teams pooch punt this season. We'll see if they go with that, if that's a part of their repertoire, but not likely because Green's under center.
Yeah, Green steps under center with a motion man coming from left to right, and the left end moved early for the Penn Trafford Warriors.
Before the snap, false start on the offense. 5-yard penalty, still 4th down.
Well, that's going to change the dynamic, as you see the punt team will come out quickly after that. Those are killers, and it looks like they would have gotten the edge there had that been settled, had the ball carrier in motion. I like the play design there, giving it to Owen Demiri, getting him on the end around, and unfortunately you have some movement that negates that.
Snap falls out of the hands of the punter. Now he tries to throw, settles his feet back down, and will be wrapped and brought down as the Gators all over that one. I think it was Ahmad Harris who ends up bringing down the punter as the Gators were all over that one. All you need is to give them an extra second, and that will finish off the play. And forgive me, it was not Harris, it was Ricariel who makes the play for the Gateway Gators.
Ricariel playing solid here on this first series defensively, and then carrying that over into the special teams play. And they took no time. That little bobble there, and all of a sudden the guys pin their ears back, get after the punter. There was nothing going there, just a bunch of black helmets, gray jerseys there in his face. And now the table's set for the Gators. Great field position here at the 24-yard line.
So a turnover on downs, 1st and 10 for Gateway. Ball's at the 24 as Birch is going to tuck and run inside of the 20. He'll roll down towards the 17 where they'll mark him down.
That was a really nice job. You'll see Birch when he rolled out, still had the ball up looking like he was going to pass. A little pump fake. Watch it here. Looking downfield, and he knew immediately. Cut it up. Nice job there, selling that with his eyes and then darting upfield for a nice gain.
High snap, Birch, play action, tosses, finds Inez Jordan who tries to cut his way to the goal line. They'll mark him down inside of the 1. Oh. Or do they say it's a TD? No.
Well,
so they did. The official on the far side didn't signal, and we can't see on the near side.
There we go. Lights are going off. 6 on the board. Jordan with a nice job there, kind of freezing up the defender right here. Takes that step back, makes the man miss, and then just plunges in for 6. Excellent.
Like I said, the official on the far side was running in like he was down inside the 1. The official on the near side says it's a touchdown, and Gateway in quick fashion takes a special team miscue by Penn Trafford and turns it into Gateway points.
You know, the entire team talked about last week wanting to have more performances like last week against Hempfield and following up a solid performance. And, you know, if you're a team that's planning on contending and going the distance, you got to make teams pay when they turn it over, especially deep in their territory like that. That's exactly what they were able to do. And so now the Gators find themselves up 7-0 early here against a big rival here at home. And you get the crowd into it whenever you're able to do that, which I think is a big, big component.
So again, Gateway taking the lead after a special teams miscue by the Penn Trafford Warriors.
And we talked about it in pregame for Penn Trafford. It's a team that has not been able to score a ton of points in bunches consistently game to game to game. And so now if you are Penn Trafford, you've got to really try and put a possession here together, not only get some points, but keep that Gateway offense off the field, which has been in such a groove these last few games, because if you start falling behind by 2-3 scores here early, I'm not so sure that this is a Warriors team that's built to come back and to score points quickly in bunches to get themselves back into this one. Couple that with the fact that the Gators defense this season really has been lights out, averaging just 12 points against per game.
To pick up main dishes, snacks, pizza, hot dogs, burgers,
7:44 to play here in quarter number 1. Gateway 7, Penn Trafford 0. Gateway forced to punt after their first possession. It went over to Penn Trafford. Turnover on downs for the Warriors, and Gators on the board. And as you take a look at that Gateway schedule, obviously what jumps off the page at you, 2 things. The 60-7 win a week ago on the road at Hempfield in one of the biggest games in Hempfield history. But unfortunately, that road loss in Franklin Regional, that the Gators are still going to have to try to find their way to get over that hump because of that road loss.
Yeah, they don't control their destiny for a section title. They're going to need 2 losses from Franklin Regional if they want to win it outright, assuming that the Gators finish 4-1. Still, you know, a lot to go here with a talented Penn Trafford team, but I'm really interested as well, Adam. There's some real tricky non-conference matchups upcoming against McKeesport and Central Catholic. We're going to learn a lot more about Gateway as we get closer to the postseason.
So it'll be Cole Plaskin kicking off for the Gateway Gators. And this one will carry down towards the 10-yard line where it'll be on the return for Penn Trafford, but that return man gets across the 20 to about the 23, and the Gators are there in bunches.
Just see a body language from the Gators early in this game, Adam. These guys look riled up. I'm sure they've been talking about getting payback from last year's game all week, and they're initiating the contact. They're the ones that are seeking out the contact right now, and they just look ready for this game emotionally, mentally. You saw the mistake by Penn Trafford, stop them on 4th down, force them to punt. So far, a clean game from the Gators. They look really focused.
Green hands off. This time the ball carrier is Tasso Whipple, and Whipple is met at the line of scrimmage. Maybe picks up a yard or 2 before he's brought down. DeAndre Brimage on the tackle. 5'11" freshman for the Gateway Gators.
They just have so much size and so much depth. I think that really was the reason why a lot of people pointed to them as the preseason favorites. Not only do they bring a lot back, but they just have so much depth at so many key positions and so much size.
Pistol formation this time. Conlon Green with a back behind him. Play action as Green rolls to the left. Settles his feet and throws, and the pass is incomplete. I think Dallas Harper got a hand on it as the pass was intended for Mark Jolly.
Harper has just been excellent on defense. Certainly he's made an impact, had 5 receptions and a touchdown last week, but it really feels like defense, as you see, does look like he gets a hand on it there, has been his calling card. I mean, he is on pace to break the single season interception record. It seems like every week he's making some jaw-dropping play, taking one to the house for a pick 6. I mean, he's just been so much fun to watch on the defensive side of the ball.
Green in the pistol, trips left. Tight end to the short side right. Play action. Green looking left the whole way, throwing left, has a receiver underneath, and that pass is complete to Carmen Metcalf as the tackle is made by Inez Jordan, who scored the Gateway touchdown moments ago.
Metcalf stepping up and getting an increased role on this offense. He came down with a 20-yard touchdown pass from Green in the third quarter that really kind of put the game away last week for the Warriors. And defensively had an interception on a 62-yard scoring drive that ended up with Tasso Whipple scoring a 2-yard touchdown. The Jake Otto and Tommy Kalkstein are out for the Warriors, so they're down their top 2 receivers. Metcalf going to have to step up.
Green to the air, has a receiver wide open down that far side. As pulling it in is Daniel Tarabella. Tarabella brought down inside of Gators territory at the 39-yard line, where it'll be first down and 10 for Penn Trafford.
Yeah, Green showing a little touch there on the pass, put that right where his receiver could get it. Also put it right in stride with the receiver. I mean, that's huge. That's the difference between a completion and a completion with 10, 15 yards after the catch, as we saw there. Some extended gain there from the Warriors. That was nice.
Kenny Lewis on the tackle on the previous play for Gateway as Penn Trafford goes to the ground. Nowhere to go this time for Tasso Whipple as the Gators are all over that one. Leading the charge, Louis Douglas for Gateway.
Yeah, Whipple's 6 foot, 185. He's not small or tiny by any stretch, but this Gators defense makes him look really small. I mean, there's just so much size there up front, and exciting to see them be able to push back in the run game here and force Penn Trafford to have to go to the air here.
2nd and 13 with the ball at the 42. Green in the pistol, motion man from left to right. Play action, toss to the right-hand side, diving reception, pulling that one in, Tarabella.
221.
Good routes thus far from the Warriors. Good timing there. See the receiver has his head around. He's ready. He's expecting the ball. Good timing route. You go from a 2nd and 13 to a 3rd and 3. Much more manageable now. Now with the ball at about the 32-yard line. Penn Trafford does have a good kicker, but you also feel pretty good if you want to try and go for it on 4th down here. If you don't pick it up, it's a short yardage situation. You're not giving the Gators the ball back with too decent a field position.
Green all by himself in the shotgun, double wing formation. Green runs right, has enough for the first down before he is brought down by a few Gators. Leading the black helmets, Remy Bose.
Yeah, so far, Green lines up there by himself. You have a pretty good idea of what he's going to do with it. He's just going to tuck it, run straight at that Gators defense. That time only needed 3. Looks like he got about 5 or 6. Ended up moving the sticks there. And this is exactly the drive the Warriors needed. Keep that Gators offense off the field. Give yourself a chance to pick up points here and make sure that momentum doesn't get away from you too much here on the road real early.
Carmen Metcalf, the Wildcat quarterback, with trips to the right. Now he'll motion a wing from right to left. Metcalf going to run to the left. Metcalf found a crease, and he will be tossed down to the turf by Louis Douglas, as he had a trailer coming from the other side. A free Gator, but Metcalf just had enough speed to elude and picks up about 7, bringing up 2nd down and 3.
This is already more than the Gators surrendered all the first half last week against Hempfield. Just 2 first downs, about 29 offensive yards in that first half to Hempfield. Penn Trafford just running straight at him. We've seen the Gators over the last couple seasons struggle from time to time when teams go in these big formations and just sort of run it right at them.
Second down and a long 2. Straight up the gut go the Warriors, and picking up the first down, Tasso Whipple.
Stop by 10, Raphael. And 7.
Certainly, I don't think they'll go away from the run because it's working so well right now, but they've set themselves up to where if they want to try and go play action, take a shot toward the end zone, I think you have the opportunity to take the Gators off guard here. That's something you've got to be really hyper vigilant about. Because anytime you're able to run the ball effectively, you really add that wrinkle into the offense. But it looks like Green's by himself. See if he keeps it again.
2 receivers split to either side, brings a motion in as a wing to the left of the formation. Green running right and knifing through traffic and making the play right near the line of scrimmage. Ahmad Harris for Gateway.
Ball carrier. Stop by Harris.
That's a good job getting in and getting low. You'll see Harris here on the replay, grabbing around the waist and then grabbing the ankles as well, dropping the ball carrier with a guy like Conlon Green. You're not going to be able to go high on him and bring him down. You're not going to be able to arm tackle. You're going to have to really man up and get low on him, take his legs out, wrap him up, drive the legs back.
Green will set in the pistol, wing to the right. Now that wing will motion to the left of the formation with a tight end on the right. Handoff going over left tackle, nowhere to go for the ball carrier. Tasso Whipple. Whipple driven back after getting inside the 10 to around the 9, and that'll bring up third down and about a half a dozen.
There we see Baron Fowler, just his second game back after a little extended time out with injury. Cleaning up there and just grabbing Whipple and tossing him back like a rag doll. And now a third and medium situation, a chance for the Gators to potentially get off the field, force a field goal attempt. At this point, you take that as a win. Try and keep this lead, get the offense back on the field.
Whipple behind Green in the pistol. Whipple rolls out to the left-hand side, looks to the goal line, and the pass is incomplete, and as Jordan breaks it up, as it was intended down along the goal line for a Warrior. That brings up 4th and 6, and it looks like the field goal unit's going to come on.
Yeah, it looked like good pressure there late by Jordan, but Metcalf also, the ball was a little behind him. He sort of had to contort his shoulders there a little bit. That was not on the money from Green there, not a great ball, but if you're Metcalf, you got to come down with that. Those are catches you got to have to hang in here against a rival.
Logan Swartz on to attempt the field goal, and that field goal is up, and that field goal is good. So Gateway bends, but they don't break, and they maintain a 4-point lead with 1:54 to play in quarter number 1 on that field goal by Logan Swartz.
Yeah, nice kick there. Swartz has been excellent so far this season. And so the Gators come away with that. Not totally unscathed, but you don't give up 6. And you get a chance to get that offense back on the field. They looked really, really impressive on that last, albeit short drive. And even on that first one, they had Harper open along the sidelines. The ball just sort of got away from Birch a little bit. So good signs here early from the Gators, as Birch has 8 passing touchdowns in the past 3 games. Finally looking like the guy that led the WPIAL in passing last season.
Beautiful night for football. Chilly, though. Temperature right around 50, maybe a little below, 75% humidity. That wind a little bit deceiving because it's 8 miles per hour sustained, and we have seen some significant gusts throughout the evening. Sunset before kickoff on this evening that is mostly cloudy in southwestern Pennsylvania.
This is, we're getting into the heart of it, Adam. We're getting week 5 here, week 6, and game 6, week 5. It's the weather's starting to feel like football weather, and it's only going to keep dipping here as we go along throughout the season. And it's hard to believe that at the conclusion of tonight, we've already played 7 games. The season is flying by.
Taking a look at the Big East Conference standings. Franklin Regional atop. We talked about them already, undefeated at 2-0. A game at hand are the Gateway Gators. They have played 1 more game than the team above them and the 2 below them. So Gateway right now number 3 in the Trib Live High School Sports Network rankings. Hempfield 1-1, Penn Trafford 1-1. Plum is 1-2. Norwin yet to win a game in conference, and they've got a tough test ahead of them in 2 weeks to the Norwin Knights against the Gateway Gators here at Anna Marino Stadium on senior night.
Sure do, and I think that just continues to underscore that for the Gators, if you can find a way to beat your rival here tonight, get yourselves to 3-1. Norwin's had a tough season. You're going to be heavily favored at home in that game. And this is the kind of game where Gateway has a chance. They come out of this one with a win. You start to talk less about if we make the playoffs and more of when we make the playoffs. And so the opportunity certainly there for the taking. Both of these teams still control their destiny, but this is a big-time game here for both of these teams.
Vince, earlier I mentioned John Ruane, the Gateway teacher. No, that was not a mistake. He is the head coach of the Penn Trafford Warriors, but he coaches in this building, Gateway High School, one of many Gateway staff members that are on the Penn Trafford coaching staff. Some guys here at the high school, some guys just down the hill at the middle school, and even some gentlemen that work in the elementary schools now. All members of the visitors coaching staff, even though they work for the home team school district.
And John Ruin, he's done such a great job. 112 total wins at Penn Trafford. Although Gateway's gotten the better of him over the series history. 5-6 is his record against the Gators. But certainly picked up a big win last year en route to the conference or section title, going 5A, winning the whole thing, going to the state, winning a PIAA title, a special season. I went and watched that game between Moon and Penn Trafford, and it was an instant classic at the time Heinz Field. They were able to prevent Moon from going down and trying a potential game-tying field goal, and it was just an excellent, excellent game.
Sports set to kick off for Penn Trafford. Gators have two back deep to return. Inez Jordan and Kenny Lewis. As this one will bounce into the hands of Kenny Lewis, who cuts to the near side right, has some room in front of him across the 35, the 40, out to the 45 before being shoved out by a host of white jerseys. And Kenny Lewis's return will end at the 47 officially, where it'll be first down and 10 for the Gateway Gators.
Yeah, take another look. A perfect bounce there right at the end, sort of hops right up into the hands of Lewis, and then he sees his blockers start to get out in front. See, Inez Jordan there does a great job getting out to the side, not holding on the jersey. Let's go right there at the right time. And Lewis able to see things come into focus, saw his blockers get into position and followed them for a great return. And now for the second consecutive drive, the Gators have a short field to work with here.
DeAndre Brimage, the freshman center, steps over the football, where he will snap it to Birch. Birch off of play action. Straight drop back, looking left the whole way, throwing left to Inez Jordan, and it will be picked off. That one hung up in the air, and coming down with the football is Nolan Morasti for the Penn Trafford Warriors.
Well, and certainly Birch would have liked to have tried to put a little more zip on this one as you take a look at the replay. But if you're Jordan, you got to come back to the ball. You got to come back and try and at least play defense there, knock it away, or go up for the combat catch yourself. He sort of waited on it there. That was a great play by Morasti. He went back and, he was more aggressive and played more like the wide receiver there and took that ball down. Came down with it, and now all that field position is negated, and Penn Trafford with the momentum now.
Play action, Green pressured, dumps it off, and the pass will go incomplete. They were setting up a screen, but the Gators sniffed it out well. Dara was the expected receiver, the intended receiver, I should say, but peeling back Louis Douglas, and he had a near opportunity to get to that football as that one bounced to the turf.
He did, collided with one of his own there on defense, Ahmad Harris, or else he might have came down with that one.
Green. Hands off. Running left. Demiri nowhere to go. He's met near the line of scrimmage.
Stop by 26.
And he does pick up a couple after the initial contact. Tackle made by Leonard Sherrod, amongst others, for Gateway.
Gators could use a stop here, try and get that offense back on the field, give themselves another go at it. This defense, you don't want to get them tired. They got driven down the field a little bit there, and then only a few plays later, they're right back on there. You don't want to see that early in the game, especially having to continue to tackle Green at 6'4", 250.
Green off of play action, looks right the whole way. The pass too high, intended for Carmen Metcalf. And that brings up fourth down.
Incomplete.
and 5. And the punt unit will come on for the Penn Trafford Warriors. So Gateway dodges a bullet after the interception thrown by Brad Birch.
Good coverage there. I mean, you had Lewis right in lockstep, and then you had Sherrod sort of right in front there. And so he couldn't put that right in the chest of the receiver without getting that picked off by Sherrod, so he had to go high with it and just sailed it.
Johnny Lovra, reserve quarterback, is the punter. He'll get this one away, and Knuckler to the near boundary, and it'll bounce out of bounds. Dallas Harper feigned that he was going to catch it along the boundary, but it did bounce in the field of play, and there's a flag down back around the 46-yard line. So we'll have to check in with our referee before we get to live action here.
For the Gators.
To see what this is John Ruane out on the field, telling his team to stand pat. Morty Ivy out there, who seems to have taken over the on-field coaching leadership as Don Hull has moved to the press box.
During the kick, Hull.
So it will be holding against Gateway, and it appeared that it was against Leonard Sherrod. It looked like the referee had mouthed 6 after his microphone cut out, so it'll push Gateway back. The good news is that it did happen after the ball was in the air, so the ball will stay with Gateway. It just gives them a longer field that they have to try to overcome.
First penalty against the Gators. They played a clean game thus far. Instead of getting the ball up closer to the 40, they're going to get driven back a little bit, take over at the 27-yard line.
First down and 10 for Gateway with 42 seconds to play in the first quarter, leading Penn Trafford 7-3. Gateway left to right across your screen in the home dark uniforms. Birch in the shotgun sidecar. To his left is Reynolds. Birch off of play action. Comes over to the near side for Reynolds, and Reynolds has nowhere to go as he is hit hard by Cardiff, Ben Cardiff, the senior, 5'11", 195.
Yeah, they just weren't able to get the adequate amount of bodies over there, and Penn Trafford, credit to them, they had that one completely sawed out. And so at the time Reynolds had the ball and tried to turn his head around, there were 3-4 different jerseys there and had the boom laid on him.
And it looked like the primary design was to go to Dallas Harper on a screen to the left. There were offensive linemen out there to lead his way, but to no avail. And Gateway's going to go to the air as the pass to the far sideline for Inez Jordan is incomplete. And that will bring up 3rd down and 11.
Incomplete.
And for as sharp as Birch looked a week ago in half number 1, other than the pass to Inez Jordan in quarter number 1, it has been a rough go of it for Birch as he has not found his targets very cleanly.
And you can see from the coaching staff down on the field, there is some real frustration. And not only the fact that it's not working, but the degree of quickness they're going, but potentially 3 and out again here. The last drive went nowhere fast, and now faced with a 3rd and 11 here, it just seems like everything is rushed. When the Gators are at their best, they've had time, and Birch able to survey the field, allow the routes to develop, allow runners to get downfield, especially these tiered routes, right? Guys pulling guys deep, a guy going over the top, bringing a safety with him, opens up the middle of the field, opens up things underneath. But if you're throwing the ball that quickly, you don't have that time to allow these plays, these routes to develop, and that's going to make it a lot harder. You're not going to have quite as much separation. And there you saw another one almost get intercepted on that 2nd down and 11 throw.
Earlier we took a look at Gateway's schedule and we looked in the rearview mirror, but let's look forward now during the quarter break. Next week Gateway will be on the road at McKeesport, and then they will host the Norwin Knights before finishing up on the road against Central Catholic at Dormont Stadium. As we take a look at the Big East Conference standings, we talked about these already. Norwin at the bottom, Gateway near the top, but really that surprises Franklin Regional, a team who's certainly on the rise. We could even see it a year ago that they had some players that were going to be able to make some noise down the road, but things have really gotten good quick for Franklin Regional.
Yeah, they can run the ball very well. They have a good dual threat sort of quarterback running back game. Defense played very inspired. Certainly was not as strong against Shaler in a non-conference game the other day where they won. Both teams were in the 40s. They had to win in double overtime on a 2-point conversion. But it's going to be interesting. They still have 3 games to go in conference slate, so still a lot to prove.
And taking a look at another team that has multiple conference games in their windshield, the Plum Mustangs and the Franklin Regional Panthers will be traveling to Penn Trafford to take on the Warriors. And sandwiched in between those 2 conference games, Penn Trafford's going to travel to Wexford to take on the #1 team in 6A, the North Allegheny Tigers.
Yeah, big plus for Penn Trafford that their final 2 conference games are at home, where Penn Trafford really does not lose often. They lost earlier this season at home to McKeesport. That was one of their first home losses since, I believe, like 2017. And they're a team that plays exceptionally well at home. And so to be able to have those last 2 at home and give yourself a chance, regardless of the outcome tonight, to give yourself 3 or 4 conference wins, that's going to be really big when it comes time to select the final 8 teams that are going to go on to the postseason.
You saw the Gateway students in their all-whites, the Gateway faithful, out there rooting on their teams here on Homecoming. A great event here last night at Anna Marino Stadium and in the North parking lot, the Homecoming Carnival. It was great to see kids of all ages out enjoying the evening. The younger kids made their way home a little bit earlier, and the middle school and high school kids, they were running around until I took my younger daughter home, after 8:30.
Things that you feel a little more comfortable doing these days that, I think a lot of students and communities in general have missed for the last few years. And we've talked about it a number of times. The crowds this season compared to the last 2 at these games. I mean, when we were at Franklin Regional, and I know last week at Hempfield, hardly any seats open.
Yeah, and quite frankly, with Hempfield, they had a packed house on the home sideline as this pass is complete to Reynolds. Reynolds splits 2 Warriors for a moment, but he'll be tripped up and brought down, picking up in total only 2 net yards. And that'll bring up 4th down and 9. And you've got to assume that regardless of the unit that comes onto the field, Gateway's going to punt it away. And now we will see the true punt unit come out with Plaskin and company.
Yeah, and I get that they haven't had a lot going well in the deep passing game, but would have liked to have seen them take a shot downfield a little bit more, put a lot of pressure there on Reynolds to try and make a lot of people miss to get 11 yards there. Would have liked to have seen them go to Jordan, Sherrod, or Harper down the field.
Plaskin takes a step to his right, catching the snap and kicks it away, a beauty. And this one will be fair caught at around the 35-yard line. Fair catching it, Carmen Metcalf.
First down for the Warriors.
We'll see if the Gators can generate a turnover. This is where Dallas Harper really shines, being able to take the ball away. Penn Trafford has shown they're not afraid to drop back and throw it a little bit across the field here thus far tonight, though they have stuck with the run a little more heavily. And as they get into the 3rd, 4th possession here, you wonder if Conlon Green starts to wear on people a little bit. I mean, 6'4", 250. Having to tackle him even 3-4 times in one drive, that's a lot to ask.
Green sends the receiver on the right side, who settles as the second wing on the left, but that second wing on the left didn't settle prior to the ball being snapped.
Before the snap, false start. On the offense, number 2, 5-yard penalty, still first down.
So that'll cost the visitors 5 yards, and that'll bring it up to 1st down and 15.
And John Ruin, head coach for the Warriors, has to be super frustrated. Whenever you're getting into Game 7 on the season, can't be having these procedural penalties, let alone in back-to-back drives. That's just super frustrating.
Penn Trafford goes to the ground. And Daniel Tarabella nowhere to go. There's a couple of Gators there. Ahmad Harris, Louis Douglas amongst the Gators involved on the play.
Second down.
You can teach a lot of things, but you can't teach speed. And the Gators just have speed at what feels like every position on the defensive side of the ball. And they do a great job getting to the edge. Very rarely do you see teams getting to the edge on the Gators and gashing them that way. Sometimes teams are able to play a little bully ball, go north to south on them, but just great job there keeping the edge and not allowing anyone to get past them.
Pistol this time, Green, play action. looks right the whole way. Nice coverage there by the Gateway Gators as Leonard Sherrod reaches out with that left paw and slaps it down to the turf as the pass was intended for Daniel Tarabella.
We saw some flashes from each offense early in this game, but this is starting to look more and more like a traditional Gateway versus Penn Trafford game where the defenses really shine through, and you just get the sense that the offenses are really having to scrap for whatever they can get against two really talented units.
3rd and long for Penn Trafford. They lost 5 yards on a penalty and 2 yards on the previous play. So Green will settle in the shotgun with a wing and 2 receivers to the left, and John Ruane has to call a timeout as the play clock was down to 1.
Timeout, Penn Trafford.
We'll see if that comes back to haunt Ruane and company, having to burn one there.
So you can see John Ruane talked about one of the elementary school teachers here at Gateway School District, Garrett Schmidt. He was in that huddle as well. And over here on the near side of the line, you can see Morty Ivy, the defensive coordinator, talking with the Gateway Gators. We've mentioned Ivy before, played here at Gateway, then at West Virginia, and then spent some time in the NFL, including with the hometown Pittsburgh Steelers.
We talked about that from a couple different teams we've seen this season, but just being able to have that sort of degree of leadership and experience, helping these young men learn the ins and outs of this game, being able to learn from guys who played at the highest possible level, that's just such an asset. That's really such a great teaching tool.
Green's in the shotgun. Straight drop back, looking left the whole way, throwing down that left-hand side, and the pass will be incomplete. Fantastic coverage down that far sideline by Kenny Lewis. And Kenny Lewis slapped it down to the turf. And a Warrior is slow to get to his feet, and I think that Warrior slid down on his left arm, and I think that may be the issue, but you do hate to speculate.
Officials timeout for an injured player.
Yeah, who knows, might have hit his head at the end of that play. You know, sometimes these guys extending out for the catch, falling quickly. Sometimes there's a little bit of a whiplash sort of effect that happens there.
Not able to see the injured Penn Trafford Warrior. He was the intended receiver on the previous play.
This will also be a media timeout.
And as you hear the referee say immediate timeout, that's because today's game not only here on our Gateway Productions production, but also on commercial television here in the southwestern PA area. But of course, if you're not in southwestern PA, you got to tune in here on Gateway Productions to watch our show here on NFHS Network. And of course, we will have lots of productions coming up in the very near future. We've got Gateway football tonight. On Monday, it'll be Gateway girls soccer as the Hampton Talbots travel to Pete Anamarino Stadium on Monday night. Girls volleyball on Tuesday night. And then it'll be Gators football as they'll be on the road at McKeesport next Friday. And we haven't scheduled anything for the week between the 14th and 21st, but I'm sure we'll have soccer, volleyball, something like that in between those two football broadcasts. And taking a run down the broadcasters, it'll be Spencer Witt on Monday. I'll cover volleyball on Tuesday. Vince, it'll be you and Spencer on next Friday. And I know, Vince, you'll be on the call on October 21st. And color analyst to be determined, you may fly solo.
Hey, that's I don't want to look too far down, but that's how we've been doing it for basketball season. And hard to believe we're creeping up on winter sports here as well as we get halfway through. Weather starts chilling. We got a lot of fun stuff ahead. Last year was so much fun, and now year 3 with Gateway, and it's always a lot of fun here.
Good news for the Penn Trafford fans and for the young man who was down on the field. He's back on his feet and headed to the sideline, and Penn Trafford's going to be forced to punt this one away. But so far, this has been a very close football game. It looked like Gateway was going to be able to control things early on, but the Warriors were able to resettle themselves a bit, got some points on the board, took the ball away from Gateway once as well, as it was Daniel Tarabella, parenthetically, who was the injured Penn Trafford Warrior on that previous play. Here on 4th and 7, the punt unit will come out.
Well, Adam, these are two very well-coached, very consistent programs. There's a reason why these two teams are the ones that always end up battling for and winning the Big East and making playoff runs. Very well-coached, very talented.
Lover will punt this one away, a spiraling punt that'll take a bounce or two towards Livesey, and then Livesey will step away from the football as Peter is called, and the ball will be down by Penn Trafford around the 29-yard line.
For the Gators, see if you can diagnose what happened on the last drive, see if you can't get the running game maybe back in the swing of things. Reynolds was so good last week in that victory over Hempfield. So we talked about over 125 total yards from scrimmage. He's had a couple different outbursts throughout this season.
After the play, personal foul, unnecessary roughness on the receiving team, number 11. That penalty will be assessed from the end of the play. First down.
So Demetrius Harper guilty of that penalty, and that's going to push them back.
All right, we good?
Yardage.
All right.
Penalty against the Gators.
That's going to be for a long field. That's going to push the Gators back well within their own territory. And
at the Gateway 15.
we talk about it every week with any of these teams. It's hard enough in 5A, which year in and year out is, since we've gone to 6 classifications, often looked at as the most competitive, balanced classification. When you start beating yourselves or making it harder for yourselves to beat quality teams, harder to win.
Birch handoff straight up the gut. There goes Reynolds across the 30, spun down at the 34-yard line. So Gateway to the ground on first down. They pick up 20.
There it is. I think sometimes the Gators tend to get away from the run a little too quickly if there's not immediate success at the beginning of the game. But I'm a firm believer Reynolds is just so talented that if you continue to give him opportunities to shine, he's going to do it.
Birch, play action. Tosses down the near side, and it'll be intercepted yet again. And for the second time today, stepping in front of a pass is Nolan Morasti.
Frustration. The short drive, Birch was able to hit on a couple quick throws, looked great. Here, just trying to force it. 3 jerseys there. Looking downfield, trying to hit one of the younger receivers, Derek Selby, the sophomore, who's just 5'8", 155. Really had to be perfect with that ball there, and it just wasn't, frankly. And now it's a second turnover and a second opportunity for Penn Trafford to have really good field position here and to go ahead here midway through the second quarter.
Green in a shotgun all by himself, running to the left on 1st and 10 from the 45. He's got nowhere to go as Gators are all over that one. And it's Ahmad Harris amongst others for Gateway.
Stopped by 26, Harris.
It's the one saving grace. Even when the offense has really struggled, the defense has risen to the occasion. Even when they lost to Franklin Regional, gave up just 16 points, 1 touchdown, 3 field goals. The Gators defense has kept them in every game and given them ample opportunities to win these games. I don't think that will change tonight.
2nd and 10 with the ball at the 45. A wing and a receiver split right as Green's going to run to the left to the short side of the field. Dragging a Gator with him, but then some punishment laid out by a second Gator in there. And I don't know, it looked like Leonard Sherrod's going to be the guilty party here on a penalty that, Green was still an active runner. There wasn't a whistle. We'll see what the umpire saw here as we check in with our referee. But if it's what I think it is, I don't love it.
Personal foul, unnecessary roughness on the defense, number 6. 15-yard penalty. Result, the first down.
Let's take another look at this one. Is Green still upright, still dragging a player with him, and he was going down to the turf. Okay, maybe in that slower motion replay, I can see what the official down low saw as Leonard Sherrod brought that shoulder towards the helmet of the quarterback Green. So yeah, I will retract a bit of what I had to say there. I
think that's the long and the short of it. I think he hit him before the whistle. He was going down, but anytime it's up around that head area, they're going to call it.
2 receivers right, or wing to the right as well. As the back settles to the right-hand side of Green, the direct snap will go to that back. The ball carrier, Tasso Whipple, and Whipple drives his way to the 25 before being brought down to the turf. We'll say he actually gets inside of the 25 to the 24 before the play ends.
Harper.
It's a quick whistle there. Whipple was still on his feet when they called that. Would like to see a little more consistency. They blew it a little late after that last play, a little early there. Certainly not telling anyone how to do their job, but Whipple was still upright when the whistle was blown and was still making forward progress.
Green gets the play from the sideline and runs into the huddle, calls the play, and Penn Trafford breaks the huddle with 2 receivers left, a wing and a receiver to the near side right. High snap, forward pitch. That forward pitch completed to Ben Cardiff, and Cardiff rumbles his way for a gain of about 2 from the 24 to the 22.
Yeah, no fooling the Gators here. A good job getting in on the action really quickly. You see Remy Bowes, Louis Douglas.
And Bowes. Third down.
Gators defense not fooled easy. You don't see them really blow coverages all too often or look completely flat-footed or out of position. It's a well-coached unit that has executed at a high level all season long.
Third down and about 5 for Penn Trafford. Trips right, 1 receiver to the far side left. Movement along the line of scrimmage from both teams, and the official on that far side says that Penn Trafford moves first.
Before the snap, false start. Offense, number 25, 5-yard penalty, still third down.
Yeah, Tyler Anthony, the receiver at the top of the screen, just got the feet moving a little bit, and if you're the receiver, you're going to get an earful from the sidelines because you're far enough down. If you're lined up, you're supposed to look down the line of scrimmage and be staring at that ball. You don't even really need to know the count if you're a receiver. Just watch that ball and don't move until it's snapped.
Now whistles blow yet again as the back judge is going to come up and talk to our referee. May want to have a clock reset here.
Game clock operator, please reset the game clock for 6 minutes, 40 seconds.
Well, the good news is that we finally have the officials mic working here at Anna Marino Stadium for the first time in a long time. Still trying to figure out the connections between what hits the PA system and what hits our broadcasts, but so far so good. I want to thank all our crew for all their hard work in making all of this work, especially with some pregame challenges as play action. Green finds a receiver across the middle, leaping up, intercepted. Dallas Harper, who else? Harper running right, and he'll just step to the boundary. INT by Harper. What else is new?
And that's really big. I mean, you know, Penn Trafford was on the fringe of field goal range. It would have been a long field goal, but they have the kicker to be able to get that one down the field. And Harper just goes way up high, takes that one away. And no electric return on this one. Didn't have a whole lot going there, but again, the defense bailing out the offense after a second turnover, and now the offense has the opportunity to try and right the ship here. Momentum has swung back over to the Gators. Now, can they do something with it here? Can they blow this one open a little bit, create a little separation before the half?
Motion man from right to left, handoff. Reynolds going away from the motion. Met at the line of scrimmage and spun to the turf.
Around right end.
Tackle on the play by Ben Cardiff.
Stopped by 42. Cardiff and Birdsong.
That'll bring up second down and 10.
Yeah, good read there by Cardiff. Got himself free. Saw Reynolds coming around. Good sure tackle.
Second and 10. Birch hands off. Reynolds up the gut. Gateway starting to commit to the run a bit here, which I think is a good idea, especially with, you know, quite frankly, Birch looking a bit rattled after that last drive.
And it legitimizes any potential
Third down.
play action, right? If you're just faking it every single time, you're not keeping that defense honest. We saw the first play of the last drive where they actually did give it to Reynolds after they hadn't for a number of plays, and Reynolds breaks it for 20 yards. When you're unpredictable, you have a higher likelihood of getting folks out of position and getting your guys in position to make big plays.
Birch looking left the whole way, settles his feet, and the pass is caught by Inez Jordan coming back towards the line of scrimmage, and they'll say he steps out of bounds at the 34-yard line, so that'll bring up fourth down and 1. I don't know about that spot, but obviously while he's voluntarily retreating, That's basically a spot on him.
I guess. I mean,
It looked like he had lunged more out of bounds at around the 35 on our replay. But regardless, it's 4th and 1, and Gateway has the offense on the field. Birch looks to the sideline. And Gateway's going to use a timeout here after they got the word from upstairs.
Timeout.
And like I said, upstairs is Don Hall.
Timeout, Gateway. They're first.
Earlier when we saw Birch come off the field, the first thing he did after he took off his helmet was put on the
This will
headset.
also be a media timeout.
And I don't imagine that what was said in that headset went very well for Brad Birch.
no, I mean, we just haven't seen the consistency this season that we saw a lot of last season. You know, Birch is already on the doorstep of matching his interception total from last season, which was an 11-game season. And we know he battled through some injuries at one point through the season. And, you know, he's looked good the last couple weeks, but there's still times where that decision-making isn't completely there, or the seeing the reads or seeing the field still isn't there. And some of the body language after interceptions and some of the frustration, right? I mean, he's the guy you're looking to be the leader of this team. And this is a team that really does want to make a run in the postseason. You got to stay, you know, got to stay within yourself, got to stay calm in the face of adversity. And I think the Gators have gotten rattled a few times this season. I thought that they had a hard time sort of coping with the situation when they were sort of getting it taken to them by Franklin Regional. And here against Penn Trafford, the defense has looked the part. They've been excellent thus far, but the offense looks like frustration sort of taking over a little bit. Don't know if there's anything they can do to sort of simplify things or kind of level set. I mean, they're still winning this game. They're still out in front. So, I mean, not a perfect situation. We'll see if they punt or try to go for it here. I tend to think punting's probably the better decision, seeing as your defense has been as sturdy as it has been thus far. But certainly you'd like to see this offense take advantage of some of the opportunities that it's had early in this game from takeaways and good returns to be able to put some more points on the board.
Now with Birch having a propensity to pooch punt, this sets up a situation where if he sets up in a traditional shotgun and maybe takes a step back, that may open things up for a draw for Reynolds. You know, because you get Penn Trafford on their heels because they know that Birch has had opportunities throughout the season to pooch punt and has done so, especially early in the season.
You know, when they say RPO, usually means run pass option, not run punt option.
Right. Well, let's see what the Gators do here is they do keep the offense on the field. They will set a wing to the left, and it's Reynolds to the right-hand side of Birch. Motion man is Jordan. Handoff, Reynolds. He's got a ton of room over the left tackle and's got the first down and more. There wasn't a white jersey in sight until a linebacker, Jamison Yurt, makes the play.
Watch the quick decision there. Reynolds, he did not mess around whatsoever. Puts his head down. He knows he's got to get 1 yard, so he made for sure he got those legs pumping so that if anyone hits him, he's still falling forward for a yard. I thought that was a great effort there by Reynolds.
Handoff again to Reynolds. Like I said, Gateway really committing to the run on this drive, and I like it. Number one, the clock works in your favor. And number two, you've got to stay at home if you're a Penn Trafford Warrior linebacker, and then eventually Gateway can use that to their advantage to suck them in.
Yeah, allows you to be much more unpredictable, much more balanced as an offense, which makes those defenders take a lot more into account. And there's a lot of guys that play both ways, but it allows some of those guys on defense to get a breather. They've been out there a good bit in this game early. Gives them a chance to rest a little bit.
Trips right. Reynolds, the sidecar to the right of Birch. Handoff, Reynolds. Huge hole. Reynolds across the 50. He's got a first down and more inside of Warriors territory. They'll mark him down at the 49.
You've got an opportunity here. There's still about 4 minutes left in this first half. You don't have to rush. You're going to get back to the line, get the play in, and continue to run. Continue to use that clock. If you come away with points, whether it's 3, 6, 7, at the end of the day, you have a chance here to wind this clock down and make it very hard or impossible for Penn Trafford to come away with any points. You could have the last possession here offensively of the half, take some of that momentum into the locker room.
Clock winding. 3:33 to play in quarter number 2. And the flag comes in from that far side.
Flag on the play.
And Gateway is going to be guilty of a pre-snap penalty.
Before the snap, 5-yard penalty. Still first down.
I don't know if the snap maybe was a tick slow because all the receivers kind of fired off the ball at the same time. So I think that one might have been on the center there.
And I think they called it on Malachi Moore. Lined up as an H-back on the right of the formation. Clock now stopped with 3:14 to play, second quarter. Birch, straight drop back, looks right, finds a crossing route. The pass complete to Selby. Selby inside of Warriors 40, brought down at the 36-yard line. And the sophomore showing some strength breaking tackles.
Yeah, some strength, some vision, some patience.
First down.
Boy, he was one broken tackle away from taking that one to pay dirt. Nice play design there. Look, he's wide open. Got it, blocker and Reynolds right in front of him there. A good block, reads it well, breaks the tackle here, and he was one away from breaking that one big time.
Handoff, Reynolds met at the line of scrimmage. He'll lean forward for a yard, but get no further as the tackle is made by Ben Cardiff.
42. Cardiff. Second down.
Well, you still got time. You still have time to be able to commit to the run. Again, you're in a great opportunity here. You get another 10, 15 yards, you're in field goal range. But more importantly, you've got a real good opportunity here to be the last ones to touch the ball and guarantee you have a lead going into the half as long as you can take care of the ball here.
Birch tosses, complete. Reynolds has a crease, spinning his way inside of the 30 and will be brought down at the 29-yard line. As Dom Smith, the closest Warrior, when Reynolds went down to the turf.
Third down and 3.
Good snag there by Reynolds. Good job getting that ball to him so he could get it in stride, turn on the jets. He's got a sneaky little amount of speed, does Reynolds. He gets up the field quicker than I think people anticipate.
Third down and 3. Birch lost his footing and now will be brought down deep in the backfield. The snap went a little bit awry and then the play just broke down from there, and it goes from third down and 3 to fourth down and a dozen.
Fourth down.
And you start to play the game here. You got about 25 seconds. You're going to get this down to about 50 seconds by the time you snap it. So you may still want to just sort of punt this if you're Birch, pin them deep with less than 45 seconds left and get Penn Trafford thinking white flag going to the half. If you turn the ball over here on 4th and long and Penn Trafford gets it with about 45 seconds left at the 38, all of a sudden they're thinking about getting the ball down the field.
Timeout, Gateway, they're second.
Now the Gateway offensive coordinator was livid, absolutely livid as he was screaming at the referee. And now he's giving Birch an earful as well. And I think what he was most livid about was he thinks that Birch's face mask was grabbed. Now we didn't see that, but it certainly looked that way by the way Birch went down.
There's definitely a little bit of grabbing up top here, you see, and I don't know if that's a shoulder or whatnot. You could also maybe have argued a horse collar there, even though he didn't eventually bring him down. But yeah, Conlon Green, the quarterback / edge rusher, had his hands all over Birch, and it'd be interesting to zoom in a little there and see what he actually was able to grab.
And it looked like perhaps it was around the nameplate, but when you come from the front and grab the nameplate from behind, is that a horse collar, or is it only when you grab the nameplate area from behind?
It's a good question. I know in general they're pretty quick to throw those flags. They're pretty quick to defend anything that's up around the head or neck area. So our TV viewers can take another look. It kind of like comes up around and almost grabs the back of the bottom of the helmet, like he was going to rip his helmet off. Certainly didn't do that and wasn't intending to do that.
We have the winner of the 50-50.
It was a very awkward tackle attempt by Conlon Green.
The winner gets $378.
Of course, today homecoming here in Monroeville, Pennsylvania. Gateway hosts Penn Trafford on homecoming. Last year, Gateway was at Penn Trafford for their homecoming. And I think a lot of the times these two teams schedule their homecoming against each other just because the Battle of the Bell. Crowds are great. You know, it's just a great evening for two great teams and a great crowd. Last year, the Battle of the Bell was won by Penn Trafford, 15-10 in Harrison City.
Boy, was that an intense game. Huge crowd over in Harrison. Gators had a chance to try and drive the field late, came up just a little bit short. The defense held Cade Yacomelli somewhat in check for the evening. See if we have another classic on our hands here tonight. So far, so good. I mean, not a lot of fireworks, but when these two teams, we talked about it in the first drive, physicality, a lot of desire to win this game. Gateway certainly has the revenge factor going on. Both of these teams understand the weight of this game. You lose this game, you have very little control about your postseason hopes and start to put yourself in some murky waters.
Touched on the Battle of the Bell earlier. Dates back nearly 100 years when Trafford used to play Pitcairn prior to the mergers to create Penn Trafford and Gateway. Well, here it is, 4th and 12. Birch, play action, rolls right, looking to throw back left. He's hit as he releases the football, and the ball will just die down to the turf. And you got to give the Gateway offensive lineman a lot of credit there, because that ball falls to the turf incomplete. If Matthew Brooks, let's say, catches that one, it's illegal touching because he's not an eligible receiver.
Yeah, it's a heads-up play. You could see him sort of scanning around to make sure nobody else is going to catch it. And he maybe thought about it for just a second, but yeah, heads-up play, good coaching there. And if you're Birch, that internal clock's got to maybe be just a little quicker there. You got to understand, we got to get rid of that one. And he had some greenery in front of him. I'm surprised he didn't pull that one down and try to do something with his legs. He's done that a few times this year and found some success.
Yeah, tucking and running may not have been the worst thing there. At least he could have picked up some positive yardage, even if he didn't pick up the first down, as Conlon Green will run, the big-bodied quarterback for Penn Trafford. He's met and brought down by Baron Fowler, amongst others. And what a remarkable season it has been for Baron Fowler. 5'8", 235-pound senior two-way lineman. It appeared to be a catastrophic knee injury a couple of weeks ago. He was wearing a heavy brace, and all of a sudden last week he emerged with a light brace on his knee and back on the field playing both ways for the Gateway Gators.
And just so glad to see a senior be able to get back in and continue his season, especially someone like Fowler who's played at a high level on both sides of the ball. And boy, this Gators defense, Conlon Green, 6'4", 250 pounds. It seems like he's been falling backwards on a lot of offensive plays. Credit to this Gators defense, limiting Penn Trafford to just 3 points and not a whole lot rushing the ball.
Well, as we take a look in the rearview mirror at the first 24 minutes of football, Gateway with some fireworks early on, took advantage of a special teams miscue by Penn Trafford, and they turned it into points right away. Penn Trafford, conversely, they were able to drive the ball down the field on the Gateway Gators and ended up putting some points on the board themselves, though they weren't able to take advantage of a couple of Gateway turnovers.
Yeah, you know, the defenses have risen up. They've sort of settled in and taken over this game, and both offenses have missed opportunities to give themselves a lead or a more comfortable lead. I think for the Gators, they continue to probably be frustrated going into half with the opportunities they've had with short fields and doing nothing with it or turning the ball back over very quickly. I'm sure both of these teams offensively are frustrated. Conlon Green not able to get anything going in the running game. Again, we talked about how big he is, how effective he's been this season for Penn Trafford, and Gateway's just giving him nothing. It's been really impressive on both sides of the ball for both of these defenses.
Well, for our folks both watching on the NFHS Network as well as listening on the Trib Live High School Sports Network, we're going to step away for a little bit, let you listen to the Trib Live High School Sports Network halftime show, and then we'll return to catch the end of the halftime festivities. We will not have a band performance today because of homecoming. There will be a lot of announcements, etc. throughout halftime, but we will return late in halftime, review the first half, and preview the second half. For Vince Russo, I'm Adam Gusky. We'll talk to you in about 20 minutes here on NFHS in the Trib Live High School Sports Network. And we welcome you back to Antamarino Stadium as the Gateway Gators host the Penn Trafford Warriors. Homecoming here in Monroeville as the Gators have a 7-3 lead over the visiting Warriors. Adam Gusky and Vince Russo on the call for you here on the Trib Live High School Sports Network and the NFHS Network. And Vince, through the first 24 minutes of football, we saw Gateway run the ball a bit, had some success in the passing game, but some offensive struggles, though the defense has looked great.
Yeah, the defense has looked exceptional, and I think, both sides 7-3 halftime score. That's to be expected between these two rivals. I think they need to continue to set up the run, to set up the pass. I think Birch needs to take a deep breath, get back within himself, and try to just make reads, give himself a little bit more time. But of course, at the end of the half there, he kind of held on to one a little bit too long. I don't know what happens with the ebb and the flow. There's some moments where he really does look like a Division I quarterback, and there's moments where it seems like things are really a struggle out there. And I'm sure some of that is a credit to Penn Trafford, but I know Brad Birch has it in him to will this team to some great things, and you hope to see that here in the second half.
Cole Plaskin will kick off for the Gateway Gators. This one a knuckling kick that will take a bounce towards the far sideline and go out of bounds as Owen Demiri made a good decision there to let that one go all the way to the boundary. And that'll set Penn Trafford up with decent field position at the 35.
That's happened a number of times this season, too. You just can't have that happen if you're Plaskin.
Free kick out of bounds on the kicking team. The ball will be...
So like I said, ball will be placed at the 35, where it'll be first down and 10. For the Penn Trafford Warriors, under the direction of John Ruane. Over 100 wins as the head coach of Penn Trafford. Meanwhile, Don Hall with 60-plus wins as the head coach here at Gateway.
First down at the 35.
The ball placed on the right hash will be first and 10 for the Penn Trafford Warriors.
See if Conlon Green can find any room to run really in that second quarter. Nothing going for this running game here for Penn Trafford. Gateway swallowed them whole.
Handoff as the Warriors go to the ground. Wiggling through the first wave of tacklers was Tasso Whipple. He will pick up a couple of more yards before being brought down, and there's a flag down on the far sideline as well.
26, Ahmad Harris.
I'm not sure if there was maybe a hold on the outside. Sometimes when you see a flag right over there by the sidelines, it's a sideline warning.
Second down.
We'll check in with our referee, see what this call is.
Illegal formation on the offense. More than 4 players in the backfield. 5-yard penalty. Replay first down.
Illegal formation.
So that'll push the Warriors back 5 yards, and it'll remain first down and 15.
Well, Gators gain a few yards back after the kick out of bounds. See if Penn Trafford decides to go to the air here at all. They had some success throwing the ball throughout the first half. Like I said, the running game in that second quarter really just went nowhere fast. Thus, only 3 points on the board for Penn Trafford.
Warriors motion to an empty set, and Conlon Green will tuck and run over left tackle, picks up a handful of yards. In fact, it'll be 6 before Baron Fowler makes the tackle.
That seems to be the MO. You see Green, the big fella, going up a little hurdle action there. Anytime he seems to clear out that set or even really start in an empty set, he's calling his own number and betting on himself. All 6'4", 250 pounds of him, but the Gators have been up to the task here. Only a nominal gain there.
Motion man on the short side right as Conlon Green off of play action rolls to that short side right. He's pressured, hit as he releases the football, and the pass will be caught after some contact. Pulling that pass in is Carmen Metcalf, but is Metcalf guilty of a push-off?
Flag on the play.
Well, I've seen. It looks like it's going to be on the defense. Looks like they're talking to Ruane, Coach Ruane, to see if he wants to deny or
pass interference. Defense. That penalty is declined. Resolve the play. The first down.
First down for Penn Trafford.
See if we can get a look at this one at the end of the play. Certainly didn't see much contact there by the Gateway defender. Regardless, it was a completed pass, so unless it would have been offensive pass interference, the play would have stood regardless. So it's first and 10 for Penn Trafford inside of Gators territory at the 31. Pistol formation. Green, play action. Going down that right-hand side. The pass will be well too strong, incomplete, as the intended receiver was Metcalf, and on defense, Kenny Lewis.
Yeah, Lewis with really great coverage there. Nice spiral by Green, but he overshot that one by a decent amount. So Penn Trafford, one of the few big plays they've generated thus far tonight. See if the Gators can hold them here and kind of keep them out of field goal range or keep them to a longer field goal attempt here, try and keep that lead. Last time the Warriors drove down toward the red zone, they got pushed back in a hurry.
We have seen Logan Swartz come on once and kick a field goal for Penn Trafford as the Warriors going to go to the ground here on 2nd down and 10 and nowhere to go for Tasso Whipple as the Gators were all over that one. Louis Douglas on the tackle for the Gateway Gators.
Yeah, great job. A whole group of Gators in there. Demetrius Harper once again getting in on the action. He's so good on the edge. I said Louis Douglas instigating that contact there.
3rd and 10 for the Warriors. Conlon Green motions to an empty set with 2 wings on the right. Straight drop back, pressure, and the pass is complete to the left-hand side, but not much yardage there for Tasso Whipple as he is brought down by Ahmad Harris.
Yeah, quick hitter there on 3rd down, creates a 4th and long situation, and now it's decision-making time. Got the ball at the 27. Looks like they're going to keep the offense on 27. That'd be about a 44-yard field goal here, 8-mile-per-hour winds. You see the top of the goalposts. Looks like it's going sort of right to left for Penn Trafford right now. But they're going to keep the offense out there.
We saw a long field goal by Penn Trafford last year at the end of the 2nd quarter to give the Warriors the lead going into the locker room after Gateway had claimed the advantage. Green, pressured, keeps his feet. Now Gators abandoned. And nowhere for Green to go as the Gators were coming at him. And a tackle will ultimately be made by Remy Bose. Also in there, Ahmad Harris. But waves of Gators coming at Green.
That lives you with the initial pressure, unable to get the ankles there of Green. And a good job by the defensive backs for the Gators. You see they're still with their receivers down the field. After the play is broken down, nobody gets lost, nobody breaks down in coverage because Green had a little bit of time there to pull that ball up, look downfield.
For media.
And he did a great job of, or the DBs did a great job of hanging in there and making sure that Green, while he extended that play, wasn't able to find anything downfield. And at that point, he just tried to salvage whatever he could, tuck and run, and a bunch of Gators came up, laid the boom, turnover on downs.
So, folks, on the radio side, if you're just joining us, the score 7-3, Gateway over Penn Trafford with 9:17 to play in quarter number 3. Adam Gusky and Vince Russo on the call for you here on the Trib Live High School Sports Network and the NFHS Network. Good to have you along with us. Time to take a look at the standings in the Allegheny 6 Conference, a conference that has a couple of teams in the Trib Live High School Sports Network top 5, including Upper St. Clair. The number 1 team in 5A, Bethel Park, currently stands in 3rd place in the conference, but they are undefeated at 1-0, and they're the number 2 team in 5A. And then, of course, you've got Peters Township, South Fayette, Moon, and Baldwin. Moon, a team who was senior laden a year ago, made it all the way to the WPIAL championship game before losing to these Penn Trafford Warriors.
Yeah, what was as we talked about earlier, an instant classic, 24-21, game in the snow, 2 teams that ran the ball exceptionally well. This is one of the conferences that's, I think, going to get 3 teams in. I honestly do. Peters Township lost a very close game to Upper St. Clair. Bethel Park at half was leading Upper St. Clair 20-14 in what is probably the game of the week, 1 versus 2 here in 5A. This one, obviously, here that we have right in front of us, Andy Marino Stadium, is a big one as well. But the Allegheny 6 has 3 really, really good teams, and Gators won't see any of them in the regular season, but those are all teams that have had really storied success. Peters Township being mostly recent, but 2 consecutive trips to the finals. They got upended in the playoffs last season, didn't make it quite as far, but that's a good program they've built out there. That's a tough conference.
So after Penn Trafford drives the ball into Gators territory, the Gators defense locks down and forces a turnover on downs. And here comes the Gators offense for the first time in the second half. Handoff, Reynolds, big crease over right guard. He drives his way forward. Gain of 9, maybe 10, depending on the spot. It will be 10 and enough for a Gators first down.
Yeah, good spot there after a great run by Reynolds. See how he just keeps those legs moving, has that extra little bit of speed to burst through the second line of defense there. It's a great run.
Handoff again to Reynolds. keep feeding them. As Reynolds picks up just 2, maybe 2.5 before being driven back. Tackle on the play by Michael Patera, 6'1" senior.
I like it. I mean, they're getting held up every so often, but more often than not, Reynolds is finding a lot of running room. I think you just keep on with this running game. Birch has struggled tonight. It hasn't been his finest hour. And what good teams do and what good coaches do is you go with what's working. You adjust on the fly and work with what your strengths are.
Handoff, Reynolds running right. Oh, the hole gets filled very quickly. Nice read by the linebacker, Dom Smith. He saw the play developing, came over and burst through Reynolds at the line of scrimmage. No gain on that play, brings up 3rd down and 7.
Yeah, an excellent angle, as you said, Adam. A great read by Smith. You see his eyes in the backfield there. Doesn't over-pursue, takes a good angle towards Reynolds. Now it is definitely a passing situation here. It'll be the first pass attempt here in the second half. See what Birch and Hall can cook up here.
Play clock down to 10 as Birch sends the offensive lineman to the line of scrimmage. Motion man is Jordan. Play action. Hitch again. Now Birch is going to tuck and run to the right. Cuts back. Gets the first down. He needed 7. He got 8.
Wow. I mean, Dom Smith was coming up looking to lay the boom once again. And for those that are watching on NFHS, watch here. He gets free. Or rather, that's a man in the secondary there, excuse me. But look at that move there to get past number 42. That was really, past Ben Cardiff, the difference maker there of getting that first down. Great move.
To the ground go the Gators. It's Jaquan Reynolds picking up a gain of about 2 to the 47-yard line. It'll be 2nd down and 8 from there inside of Warriors territory. And you know, Vince, earlier in the season, we talked about the deceptive speed of Birch, but his shiftiness, both last week and this week, has been something that's been an added wrinkle to just not the flat-out speed.
Yeah, he's taken a real step forward this season, throughout the season, and being able to do that. I'd like to see him pull the ball down a little more frequently and utilize his legs when things aren't there down the field.
Birch, hands off. Reynolds found a crease and kept the legs turning to the 43-yard line. And that'll bring up 3rd down and a manageable 4.
Yeah, I mean, it's exactly what you want. You're able to average 3-4 yards a carry here, able to run some clock, keep your offense on the field, build a little momentum, and now you're probably going to pass, but you have that added wrinkle that you've been able to kind of bust some open here. Maybe you do sort of hand it off on the jet sweep to Inez Jordan. We haven't seen that yet. Wouldn't surprise me if they go that direction. Throw them off a little bit.
Trips left, one receiver to the near side right. All day. Toss off to Harper. Harper's got the first down and more inside the 35 to the 30, the 25 to the 20, where he dives across the 20-yard line, but they say he steps on the boundary at the 22. Regardless, it's a first down for the Gators on a crossing route to Dallas Harper.
They found success with that a couple times tonight on those crossing routes, getting guys open in space. You see Harper has no one near him from the jump, and when you're able to get him in space with about 10 yards before any defender's near him, he's so fast and so athletic, he's going to be hard to bring down. Great play call there.
Offset pistol with a wing to the right this time for Birch. Now he'll motion Jordan into the formation. Handoff. Reynolds straight up the gut. He's hit hard, but still picks up positive yardage. Credit the tackle to Jamison Yurt, but inside the 20 goes Reynolds to the 18.
It's a great drive thus far. Big question mark we've seen all night for both of these teams and Gateway throughout the season is, in some of these big games, can they punctuate these drives? They're able to do it early in the season against Mount Lebanon. Couldn't do it against Franklin Regional. Had some troubles in the second half against Plum. Did it well against Hempfield last week. Can they find the consistency against these top-tier teams here when push comes to shove? Get those valuable points on the board.
Jordan again motions into the formation, but the Gators go to the ground to Reynolds. They're just riding the Reynolds train right now as that ball's carried down to the 15-yard line. That'll bring up 3rd, and again manageable. Maybe 3rd and 3 this time for the 15 with the line to gain the 12.
Yeah, you're well within field goal range. Have the opportunity at the very least make it a 10-point game. Again, I wouldn't be shocked if they go with a jet sweep here at some point.
And again to the ground. Big crease this time. First down and more. Reynolds spinning his way inside the 5. Whirling Dervish to the 3.
Jaquan Reynolds has the first down.
He is just so impressive. Has that low center of gravity, quick speed. Look at him bounce off the would-be tackler there. Sends another defender on a ride before he gets yanked down. That's a great effort there.
First and goal. Handoff. Jordan, into the end zone. Reynolds. What a drive by the Gateway Gators. Almost all on the ground except for a pass to Harper. But Jaquan Reynolds gets ridden into the end zone for the Gateway Gators. What a drive, and give tons of credit to that Gateway offensive line. All across that front five, drive blocking, big holes. Great job by the front five, including the freshman center, DeAndre Brimage.
Yeah, and on the one pass attempt, ample time to get the ball to Harper. Great job.
Good snap, good hold, kick up, and that kick is good.
The kick is good.
So Gateway has claimed an 11-point advantage on the Penn Trafford Warriors on a 3-yard touchdown run by Jaquan Reynolds.
Excellent drive there. Low-risk football.
This will also be a media timeout.
Keeping the ball in the hands of one of your most talented playmakers, allowing him to get in rhythm. And you saw he just seemed to get stronger as that drive went on. You know, down in the red zone, bouncing off of would-be tacklers, dragging guys within the 5-yard line. I really am a big fan of what Reynolds has been able to do these past 2 seasons. He's averaging close to 100 yards from scrimmage. Hasn't done as much in the passing game tonight as a pass catcher, but just such a great dual-threat running back. Adds such a dynamic that not a whole lot of teams have in the WPIAL. Not a whole lot of high school running backs are able to catch the ball out of the backfield like he does. And I'm glad to see him starting to get some more of these touches. I think as the season goes on, that's going to be really important for the Gators as the weather gets colder, as the inclement weather starts to come in here, as we get closer to late October, early November, playoff time comes around. I think Reynolds is a big linchpin for how far these Gators can go.
Folks on the radio side, 4:39 to play third quarter. Gateway 14, Penn Trafford 3. Good to have you along with us on the Trib Live High School Sports Network and the NFHS Network. Next week, a road game for Gateway, so we will be on YouTube as well as the Trib Live High School Sports Network with a video stream on the Trib side as we take a look forward for the Gateway Gators. We talked about it earlier. We looked in the rearview mirror, looking ahead at McKeesport, home versus Norwin for senior night on October 21st, and then on the road at Dormont Stadium against Central Catholic, the Nomadic Vikings.
Yeah, 2 very interesting non-conference matchups with the finale for the Big East slate smack dab in the middle of that. Really excited for that McKeesport game next week. McKeesport beat Penn Trafford 19-7. They're athletic. They've got a great running back. They've got a great defense. They're undefeated thus far. That's going to be a really interesting test, even though that's a 4A coming up to play 5A. Don't let that fool you. McKeesport is talented. They were a 5A team last season, so that's going to be a really interesting litmus test for Gateway. And then that Norwin game, you'd have to think they're going to be heavily favored here at home. That's a team Penn Trafford shut out last week, and so we keep talking about it. If the Gators can find a way to win tonight, all of a sudden you start staring down a highly probable 4-1 finish and a top 2 finish in the conference.
And there's Jordan with a touchdown today, Jaquan Reynolds with another. Jordan catching a touchdown, and Reynolds rushing one in. And Cole Plaskin boots it away. And this one will take a bounce to the sideline. And yet again, Penn Trafford is going to start with great field position at the 35. As Owen Demiri certainly more than happy to allow that one to bounce to the boundary.
We placed at the...
So free kick out of bounds. The ball will be placed at the 35. And we'll be on the right hash yet again, where the Warriors will break the huddle, sending 2 receivers to the wide side left, a wing to the short side right. And to the ground go the Warriors. Big hole over this left side. A lot of greenery for Demiri, and Demiri will be brought down to the midfield stripe, a pickup of 15.
Yeah, credit to Penn Trafford. They lined up quick, got the clean handoff, and almost like they caught the Gators sort of complacent for a play there. By the time anyone gets a hand on him, he's already well past the lead stick. If you're the Gators, after taking this 11-point lead, you don't want to give points right back. You want to get a stop here, take momentum.
Two receivers to the wide side right this time, as again it's Demiri, the ball carrier, and this time he's hit hard at the line of scrimmage. Nowhere to go for Demiri as making the tackle Ricariel.
Yeah, he got stopped right in his tracks, and he had a full head of steam going in front of him, but 5'9", 175 pounds, runs into 6', 205, and giving up that height and weight. Ricariel took advantage of that and got that stopped in a hurry.
Clock winding, 3:40 to play, third quarter. 2nd and 10 for the Warriors at the midfield stripe. Pistol formation. Demiri now motions out of that pistol. Green spins, pressured, hit, and tipping to pass Louis Douglas. He had two hands on it, but it fell to the turf, incomplete. Douglas trying to repeat what Demetrius Harper did a week ago by tipping a pass and then intercepting it.
And the big fella's kicking himself. He said, I should have came down with that one. If he would have maybe got those paws up there just a little quicker, he might have come down with that one. But nevertheless, there was good coverage behind him, but always great to see the ball not even get out that way. Nice to see tip passes at the line of scrimmage. You always give yourself a chance for someone to come down with it. That was a great play.
And again, rewinding to last week, what a remarkable play that was by Demetrius Harper, rushing the quarterback, tipped the pass, dove, and caught it himself. So a tip and an INT by the same rushing linebacker. Play action, Green looking left the whole way. The pass is incomplete off of the fingertips of Carmen Metcalf, and that would have been almost enough for the first down. Regardless, the incomplete pass brings up 4th and 10.
Yeah, good timing route there. Receivers just got to come down with that one. You just got to catch the ball. And I don't know that it would have been enough for the first down, but it would have certainly given yourself 4th and 1, 4th and 2 at about the 40-yard line where you feel comfortable going forward on 4th down. Now you almost certainly feel like you probably have to punt here.
And the offense is on the field, and looking back to that previous play on 3rd down, it was actually a 12-yard pass, so it would have been enough for the first down. But instead, the incompletion brings up 4th and 10, and Green stays on the field with an offset pistol behind him. Wing motions from left to right. Green rolling right. Tosses, and it's in and out of the hands of a Gator defender. Ricariel, the linebacker, had his hands on it. And the good news is he broke it up. The bad news is he plays tight end on the other side of the ball. You got to make that catch.
You do, but as he was falling down, he would have lost a few yards. You know, he drops the ball. He could argue on the sidelines, I just wanted us to have the ball at midfield.
Right, it's a net gain of 8 if he doesn't catch it.
Exactly.
I like the way you think, Vince.
And, you know, great coverage on that play, undercutting it there, even behind. There was nobody open there. Green was just trying to force something in and make something happen. The Gators had that play snuffed out completely. And so they have just been the driving force in this game. And luckily the offense able to come away with a really nice drive there. Hopefully they'll keep it on the ground here, continue to open things up. And I keep stressing it. I wonder if they'll get the ball to Jordan at any point. He's averaging almost 9 yards a carry this season. Would love to see the jet sweep in action.
Taking a look at the Northeast Conference, just one team in the Trib Live High School Sports Network top 5, and that's the Pine Richland Rams, who are 1-1 and 3-3. But a lot of times the records have less to do with the rankings. It's more about the talent level on your team.
Talent level, strength of schedule, certainly those things. And Pine Richland has played some tough teams out of conference, but this is a real log jam of teams. You know, North Hills was winless. They took Gateway down to the wire. Cole Plaskin had to kick a game-winning field goal. They've picked up a couple wins. I mean, you look down here, there's really, you know, in the other conferences, you're starting to see the cream rise to the top. You're starting to get a picture of who's going to be in position to go to the postseason or who already is on the verge of clinching postseason berths. Here in the Northeast Conference, I don't know that any of these teams have really cemented themselves as a favorite to go into the postseason.
And this is a conference that in all likelihood you're going to only see 2 teams come out of. In the Big East, you'll probably see 3. In that Allegheny Conference, you're probably going to see 3, but you know, probably just the top 2 teams out of that Northern Conference.
I would agree. I would agree completely. And that's a good sign for the loser of tonight's game here. If either of them are able to clean out the rest of their schedule with a quality win in conference, out of conference, give yourself a chance to line up to get a lower seed, but still a seat at the table when it comes time for the postseason.
Shotgun on 1st and 10 from the midfield stripe, and the nose guard, Zachary Tomasovich, moves early.
Flag on the play.
Before the snap, encroachment, defense, number 75. 5-yard penalty, still first down.
Tomasovich, 6'5", 315. Lined up dead over the ball and moves early. Now, I point out his size because he's taking on a freshman, Brimage, who's just 5'11", 235. But Brimage has done the yeoman's duty thus far against him as Reynolds goes to the ground and picks up a yard over left guard before being driven back.
Yeah, this whole line has done a really great job tonight. Not a ton going there. But again, you keep that clock moving. That's something the Gators have not done as much in the past, which I think has come back to haunt them in some pretty big games, is to not rely on the run game and limit the amount of times they're dropping back and passing the ball when they have a double-digit lead in a big game.
2nd and 4 for the Gators at the 44. Reynolds on the delay handoff. Gets a little help from his friends to the 41, and that'll bring up 3rd down and 1.
And that's fine. That's fine. 2nd and 4, you gain 3 yards. You give yourself some comfortability here.
75, Tomasovich. 3rd down, less than a yard.
Line to gain is the 40. The ball just inside of the 41. Low snap, handoff. Reynolds gets to the 40. It'll depend on the spot, but he may not have it.
I don't think he does. Just looking at where the initial spot is, yeah, it's very clearly short. I think that's a good call.
Yeah, it looked like his helmet surged to the 40, but not the ball. So gain of maybe the length of the ball. And now you've got a 1.5 feet to go here on 4th down.
I wouldn't be surprised to see a little play action here, or them to take a shot. I think the general consensus, and it looks like they'll take a timeout to talk this one over, is that, okay, we just need a half a yard. We're going to run it. But I think this is a great opportunity. Maybe pull that ball back, try and find someone who bites on the play action, see if you can't find something downfield.
Now, Vince, I have no problem taking a timeout and getting the play you want in that circumstance, but there was still 13 seconds left on the play clock there. And while we're still in the 3rd quarter, the clock is your friend, especially in the second half of the double-digit lead.
No, I totally agree, Adam. Even between 2nd and 3rd and then 3rd and 4th down there, or I think the 2nd and 3rd down play, they snapped the ball with about 13 seconds left on the play clock. And we've seen that a few times throughout the year. You can't get impatient. You have an 11-point lead. You have made life very difficult for Penn Trafford. They have struggled to drive, let alone score. So I'm trying to take every second off the clock because I believe in my defense. I believe, if I'm Don Hall, that our defense is in a position here where we're going to win this game as long as we don't make mistakes. So we're going to run the ball. We're going to only pass when we need to, and we're going to milk that clock as much as we can and snap it with 2-3 seconds left on the play clock.
4th and less than a yard. Handoff, Reynolds, flea flicker. Toss down the near side right. Harper's got a step, and the pass incomplete, intended for Harper. The flag comes down. DPI. It'll be 1st and 10 for the Gateway Gators.
There it is. They took the shot. I love the play call there. A little different going with the flea flicker and not the play action, but I like taking that shot there when the defense is thinking run, run, run.
So we'll check in with our referee, but
Pass interference, defense, number 11. 15-yard penalty will result in a 1st down.
well, you can hear the Warriors fans below us. They don't like it, but it certainly looked to be the right call as this one heave-hoed down the field. Harper went up for it, and contact early by the D-back, James Birdsong.
Well, the big thing there, Adam, we talk about at all levels of play is the DB getting the head around and trying to make a play on the ball. There, he comes into contact with the receiver. He's not making a play on the ball. Therefore, that's textbook pass interference.
And he took that left hand and swiped at the hands of Harper to add insult to injury. Power pistol this time. Ball pulled out of the belly. Option. Low pitch. Jordan wiggles his way forward. And they'll say he gets to the 27-yard line, maybe back to the 28, as that play was just a meltdown.
Yeah, that was that was risky any which way you slice it. I mean, you get Reynolds blown up there. He's able to pull the ball out, does Birds very quickly, and then the pitch to Jordan was almost a little low there. So, oh, my goodness.
And how about that hit by Conlon Green, the QB, who's going to be a D-end at Temple University. Pass to the left side complete. Somehow Reynolds wiggles free and drives his way inside of the 25 towards the 20. Positive yardage there. Takes it from second and 11 to a much more manageable third and about 7.
Wow, what an incredible second effort. And that's just a little more maturity and strength we see out of Reynolds this year. He's just so hard for the first person to bring down, let alone the first two here. And he got away from Green there, the guy who's going to be playing at the next level. D1, not FCS, but FBS, playing edge rusher. Reynolds able to slip right out of the grasp.
Trips right, one receiver left. True shotgun snap. Pass is caught. Hard hit, though, as the pass was caught by Derek Selby. Hit hard by Jamison Yurt. A loss of 2 on the play brings up 4th down and 8.
Well, we talked about it. We said this is going to be a physical game, and this drive right here has really exemplified that. I think they might.
Yeah, it's going to be the end of the 3rd quarter.
Yeah, I wonder if they'll think about a field goal here. It's 4th down, but that's a strong quarter for the Gators. That's one of the stronger quarters in one of the big games this season we've seen from them.
And obviously the first half last week was an offensive explosion of epic proportions. 53 points over 2 quarters, like you said, 8 possessions, 8 touchdowns. Just a fantastic 2 quarters of football last week on the road. But here in a rivalry game, in a gut check time, when you come out of the locker room and you're up against the ropes, you're still fighting though you have the lead on the cards. You come out and you knock down your opponent, and you head to the last couple of rounds here into the 4th quarter with an 11-point advantage.
Yeah, the defense has stayed strong. The offense put together a really important drive, and we've seen that in flashes this season. I thought it spoke a lot to the character of the team whenever they went against Mount Lebanon in the season opener, drove the length of the field after giving up points, and made it a no-doubt window for them to win that game, creating some separation. Here they've done it. They've set the table. I really love the play calling in this second half, taking care of the ball. And they've put themselves in position here, whether they go for it on 4th, whether they kick the field goal. You have a lot of faith in that defense that they're going to get this one done.
Looking at the top 5 in Trib Live High School Sports Network poll in the 5A ranks. Upper St. Clair, number 1, Bethel Park. Number 2, Gateway. Number 3, Pine Richland 4, and Penn Trafford 5. As we take a look at those top 2 teams, we talked about it already. That Allegheny Conference and the Big East Conference, obviously the strength at 5A. Though Pine Richland historically has a great program up in the North Hills of Pittsburgh, whether they were at the 6A level or here in 5.
Yeah, with first-year head coach John Ladon, who has had the Gators number a time or 2 over at Penn Hills, now at Pine Richland. That's a quality coach for a quality program, and they lost a lot from last year too. That was a team that was very competitive, made some hay in the playoffs, even though they came up a bit short, and so. They're always a team when it comes time for late October, early November. You're accustomed to hearing them in the conversation.
And you talked about John Ladon, a quality coach for a quality program, a graduate of a quality university. Played football at Robert Morris, where both Vince and I went to school. Just a couple of years apart. Trips left, 2 receivers right. Birch empty set on 4th down and 9. The ball's at the 24. The line to gain is at the 16.
Well, as the officials talk it over, I pulled it up real quick via the Miracle Twitter. Bethel Park up 2 scores, 27-14 over Upper St. Clair. So it looks like the Blackhawks might be laying their claim to the top spot in next week's rankings if that score holds.
So this will be more like 4th and 8 as Birch in the empty set. Looks right, throws right complete. Harper curls his way back, spins his way towards the 15. I think he's got it.
Well, I guess, yeah, it is at the 16 there. I think that last effort might have got him across there. That pass was a little high. Harper to kind of go up. You'll see he has to go up and get it, leave his feet, and sort of reestablish the acceleration.
And it looked like Harper, as he was coming around and down, he could have reached the ball out and guaranteed himself the first down. Instead, he kept it tucked and rolled over. And I think it was inside of the 16. And as we take a look in on this measurement, we shall see. Not enough for the first down. Well, it certainly looked like he had gotten further than that, but A gain of 7.5 when the Gators needed 8. And it'll be Warriors ball shy of the 16-yard line.
And I'm getting nitpicky, but I think if there's a little more zip on that ball and Harper doesn't have to leave his feet, he's able to keep that momentum and that low center of gravity, drive through the defenders and get the necessary yards for the first down there. It's these big games, it's those little things that are magnified so much on these all-important drives.
I concur. He catches that one flat-footed. He can just back his way for a yard and pick up the first down. So the Warriors have it. And Green will go to the ground, and he's got nowhere to go. Ricariel, who's been all over the field, makes another tackle. If it hasn't been L, it's been Ahmad Harris. Both those guys have made a ton of tackles tonight.
I was watching on the outside, taking a look. Dallas Harper gets held a little bit here on the outside and just drags the defender down at the end of the play right in front of the official as to sort of say, are you seeing this?
I think you and I have a different definition of a little bit. As it certainly looked like Dallas Harper almost lost another gray jersey because he's wearing 13 tonight. Traditional number is 5, but he had to wear a different jersey tonight. We also saw Remy Bose have to change from 8 to 32.
Timeout.
First time out of that. Penn Trafford.
So Penn Trafford takes a timeout, and you can see the frustration by John Ruane.
Oh, yeah, I mean, you burn a timeout here with 11 minutes left. You're down 2 scores. And you need all of those in the back pocket to be able, late in games, to, you know, that's the difference when you're trailing of being able to use the whole field or having to direct the ball toward the sidelines. You see how difficult that is for teams. You know, defenses are able to push everything toward the sidelines or push toward the middle of the field if they'd like to try and keep the clock moving. And so that's a timeout you hate to burn for Coach Ruane and Penn Trafford.
Second down and 11 for the Penn Trafford Warriors. The line to gain is the 26-yard line. The ball sits at the 15. Pistol formation. Now the Warriors motion out of that. Spinning to the wide side of the field goes Green, and he's got nowhere to go as he's wrapped and brought down. The Gators all over that one as it was Matthew Brooks leading the charge.
Green on the keeper.
And that rollout took a long time to develop, and again, I don't think Penn Trafford has seen a defense this fast that has been able to flock to the ball like this.
Third down.
And they were held to 7 against McKeesport. Maybe that's an apt comparison, building a little hype for next week's game.
I don't know if you had an opportunity to see it, Vince, but Riley McCaw got tossed by Matthew Brooks prior to Brooks making that tackle. It was just incredible the way he was able to disengage and toss the guard and get over to make that play. Green straight drop back. Looks right, throws right, and the pass is incomplete. I think the intended receiver was Metcalf, but he was well off target. And that brings up 4th down and a Baker's dozen.
Great defensive stop there by the Gators defense. I mean, just stuffed Penn Trafford there. And you see Brooks again there at the top of your screen. I mean, that guy's going to play at the next level at Duquesne. He's going to have himself a continued football career. And guys like him and Demetrius Harper, I feel like we sometimes don't talk about them enough because it's so normalized how well they play. But they really are big-time playmakers.
Punt unit on for the Warriors. This one a spiraling low punt that will take a bounce in favor of the Gators. So a heady play there to catch it off of one bounce by Bryce Martin, the 5'10 senior. But this is great field position for the Gators at the 40.
Yeah, this is a chance to put the nail in the coffin here if you're the Gators. You're going to have just about 40 yards to go here to pay dirt. Been running the ball exceptionally well. You see Matthew Brooks getting everyone riled up there. That's the leadership you love to see. I think the Gators sense this. This is the moment where you can take this game and put it out of reach, where you can make this a homecoming night to remember.
And I think those messages were more for Jacob Santo, the junior, and DeAndre Brimage, the freshman, than his line mate Fowler or Louis Douglas, the upperclassmen, the seniors. 1st and 10. Motion man Jordan. Handoff. Reynolds retreating. And he will be brought down inside of Gators territory at the 49. And they'll spot the ball at the Penn Trafford 49, rightfully so, because that's where I think the retreat ended and the pushback started.
I've been running the ball so well, going north to south and getting Reynolds in between the tackles there. They just tried to sweep him out wide. I don't hate the play call, but it just was a great diagnosis there from Penn Trafford, and they drove him back, and now you have 2nd and 19. I hope they stick with the run game here, but it's an empty set.
Birch straight drop back. Some time as he throws to the left-hand side. Pass is complete to Selby as he is hit hard. Tackle is made by Zierski.
Green and Zierski.
Brendan Zierski, 5'11", defensive back. Lots of contact there. No gain on the play. And it is 3rd down and 19 as Zierski's going to have to come out. I don't know if he was injured or if his helmet was just destroyed on the hard hit. But regardless, a stoppage. And both teams are going to have time to talk here.
Well, for the Gators,
Officials timeout.
try to take a shot, but you want to take care of the ball here. You know, I'm not opposed to a deep shot here. You know, an incompletion, you try and punt. And, trap Penn Trafford with a long field with the offense that has really sputtered in the mud tonight. Or if you get it intercepted, it's kind of like an arm punt.
So Zierski was injured. That's why they stopped the play. And in fact, he was a little wobbly as he went to the far sideline.
That was a hard hit. I think also you take a deep shot here because the last time they did, what'd you get? You got a DPI. Move the ball that way. Doesn't hurt to take a shot here.
Trips on the right of the formation. One receiver to the short side left. Reynolds next to Birch. And a timeout is called. I'm not sure why Gateway used the timeout here.
Timeout. Gateway, their 2nd.
Timeout Gators.
And Gateway offensive coordinator in the ear of some of his players, and I think that had to do with the fact that the receivers weren't lined up properly, and they had extra time to get their formation correct because of the injury timeout.
It's the little things. Again, now Gateway has to blow a timeout. They're in front, but you know, God forbid anything happens here over the next 8 minutes and 53 seconds. Now you're the Gators down to just one timeout. You have very little opportunity to stop the clock if you have to do so.
Next week, Gateway at McKeesport. And we will have the call for you here on Gateway Productions. Of course, on Monday, it'll be Hampton at Gateway and girls soccer. Tuesday, girls volleyball, Penn Hills over at the sports complex. And then we have back-to-back football games on the schedule, but we'll probably sandwich at least one game in that weekend between the 14th and 21st. Trips right, play action. Birch, time, rolls left. Good tuck and run. To the near sideline, spins it back in, and he is tossed to the turf at around the 49-yard line.
Well, you know, Adam, now what this does is I think you were probably thinking if you didn't pick up a whole lot, you'd punt. I think with the 4th and 9, you give yourself a chance. You're going for it. And it looks like that's exactly what the offense is going to do.
Birch speeding it up, now looks to the sideline.
Still way too much time on the play clock, 15 seconds. Let this wind down, at least another 10 seconds. What's the rush?
Now the Gators are going to motion to an empty set, which may indicate a pooch punt by Birch. Now he's going to drop back and throw. Throws to the right, intended for Inez Jordan, incomplete. And a turnover on downs. And ultimately,
incomplete.
After a bad punt by the Warriors, gave the Gators the ball at the 40, just 1 yard in net total on that drive.
Yeah, disappointing. Disappointing. Dom Smith came through there untouched.
Timeout for media.
Dom Smith kind of altered the timing of that play. Birch kind of had that clock sped up with a guy coming straight towards him. So he got rid of it quick and wasn't able to connect with the receiver. And as Jordan sort of threw it a little too far in front of him. And So you had the opportunity there to make this a no doubt. And if you're the Gators, you're still in a comfortable spot, up 11 with 8 minutes left. But now you've got to sort of put the onus back on your defense here to make some plays and to get a stop, or at the very least make sure a lot of time comes off the clock should Penn Trafford get any points on the board. So this one's not over just yet. But the Gators defense has been swarming just all night.
Talked about how cool it was earlier tonight, and I'm sure it's cooled off a bit. Down under 50 degrees, 47 degrees right now. Wind has died down a little bit, and we certainly haven't felt or heard the gusts like we did earlier. Sunset before kickoff, like we talked about. Humidity bumped up just a bit, and that makes it a little damp and a little cooler. But the clouds have thinned out a decent amount, and when the clouds thin out, that means that temperature can drop much more rapidly.
I'm certainly not complaining about having a little heat up here in the booth tonight. I saw a lot of fans swaddled up, people bringing the blankets in, wearing the beanies. Feels like just 2 weeks ago we were still sweating up here a little bit, and still 70, 80 degrees, and the weather kind of changed kind of on the dime there about right September 21st when the equinox happened. We turned over to fall. It doesn't normally happen that quickly or abruptly, but it did this year.
Kudos to our camera 2 and 3 operators, Brianna Gusky and Dale Breakall, out in the elements compared to the rest of our crew comfortably inside this evening. Trips to the left. Now 4 on that left side as the Warriors motion to an empty set, and the pass is complete to the motion man, Whipple, and Whipple is forced out of bounds as he crosses the 45 to the 47-yard line, a gain of 8, and that brings up 2nd and 2.
Stop by Sherrod.
The Warriors looking like the Gators there, setting up the halfback in open space. Halfback makes a nice grab, able to get upfield quickly. You stay right on schedule, get out of bounds to boot, save some time. 2nd and 2, that was well executed.
Ball's on the left hash. A wing and 2 receivers to that short side left. Now the slot motions to the right with 1 receiver split wide right. Pressure, pass to that left side is incomplete. Nobody was in front of Tasso Whipple as all the focus was to the right of the formation. Whipple spun out to the left, but just couldn't pull in the pass, a little strong by Conlon Green.
Oh boy, look at that, wide open. I don't know if Jordan would have been able to get around there, or rather Sherrod, and get down the field. That might have been 6 right there.
Well, regardless, it's still a big gain and a first down if he catches that football. But instead, it's 3rd down and 2 with the line to gain the 49. The ball's at the 47. Penn Trafford motions to a heavy set on the left. Green runs left. Green's got the first down and more into Gators territory to the 45 before coming down to his knees. Tackle made by the aforementioned Leonard Sherrod.
Well, Green would not be denied there. He probably felt like he had to atone after missing the surefire huge gain on the last play. Calls his own number. He would not be brought down before he got past that lead stick. This is your opportunity here if you're the Warriors to give yourself a chance. I think if they do score here, they're probably going to have to go for 2. Set it up, make it a potential field goal game.
Conlon Green motions, gets hit, the ball comes loose, and he will cover it back up. Inez Jordan came in on a blitz from that right-hand side and just tattooed Conlon Green back at the 49.
It's the 2nd straight play where we've seen that happen. Dallas Harper came through untouched on the last one. Green was able to get rid of it beforehand, or a couple plays ago rather, on the pass, excuse me.
So that fumble ended up helping the Penn Trafford Warriors. The ball would have been inside of Warriors territory at the 49 had he held onto it, but he fumbled it forward and fell onto it 6 feet forward at the Gators 49. But it's still 2nd down and 14 with the line to gain at the 35. Motion man from right to left. Green straight drop back. Tosses across the middle. The pass is complete to that motion man, Morasti. And Morasti is forced out of bounds right at the first down flag. And I think that's enough for a Warriors first down.
Now they brought him in motion. He already had a good head of steam. Then he just sort of cuts right back behind those defensive linemen, sort of snuck by there, created a little separation, then got upfield in a hurry. Move the chains.
And stops the clock, too, with 6:26 to go here in quarter number 4. Gateway plus 11 on the scoreboard. 2 receivers right, 1 to the short side left as they motion a back into the formation, and that back takes the handoff and gets tripped up as again it's Ricariel making the tackle on Owen DeMary.
Great job knifing through and able to just grab on and bring down the ball carrier. L, so strong, would not be denied there, bringing down the ball carrier Whipple.
Ricariel, 6 feet, 205 pounds. He has played a whale of a football game on that defensive end spot. 2nd and a dozen. Warriors in the pistol. Now they'll motion to an empty set with trips on the right of the formation. Setting up the screen, and it's intercepted. Taking it, it's Louis Douglas. No, check that. Remy Bowes. Remy Bowes gets a block to the 20, the 15, the 10, the 5, end zone touchdown. Pick 6 for Remy Bowes.
How apropos that the defense comes through with the play to put this one away, as they have been the difference makers in this contest. Gators have been strong in all 3 facets of the game, but it's the defense that has just completely stifled Penn Trafford this entire contest. And Bowes, as soon as he scooped that one up, he was gone. Got the block, but put on the Jets. There was no catching him.
3 deuce with the pick 6. And the Gators extend their lead to 20-3. And Cole Plaskin is out there.
Here comes Cole Plaskin.
I don't know what happened to that play. I think it was a screen, and Green got shaken up by the pressure and threw it right to Remy Bowes. Nice downfield block by a Gator, and Remy Bowes takes it to the house for the Gateway Gators. Plaskin has all 3 facets of the PAT work to perfection, and Gateway has claimed a 21-3 lead on Penn Trafford. And Vince, we saw it when the Gators played against Mount Lebanon. We saw it when the Gators played against Woodland Hills, and we're seeing it again tonight, where when Gateway has the lead but things are a bit precarious, they get something going in the 4th quarter and are able to put their opponent away, and that was a big nail in the coffin there on the pick 6 by Remy Bowes.
Yeah, and in 2 of those 3 games, it has been pick 6s against Woodland Hills. That was a 7-0 game going into the 4th. Who flipped the field and took it back all the way? Dallas Harper. Now it's Remy Bowes. In that same game, the punctuation was Chris Livesey taking one back as well. So there's a number of guys who have game-making abilities. You talk about Demetrius Harper not taking it to the house, but 2 interceptions last week. I mean, this defense is not only elite because of how much they limit their opponents, but as a scoring defense and an opportunistic defense, they have done so much to flip the field quickly and generate a ton of turnovers this season.
We talked about Ricariel on the defensive end spot, the linebacker spot on that outside, all night long, all the tackles he made. But how about that block on that pick 6 by Remy Bowes? The lone player that could make the tackle was Conlon Green. Now, Conlon Green, we've talked about it already, not your typical QB. He's going to be playing defensive end at Temple University in the future. And we saw the great block down the field by Ricariel, the final spring on the Remy Bowes pick 6.
Yeah, I mean, that's, when you're a defensive player, there's nothing more exciting than when your guy calls out whatever your call word is for getting the interception, and all of a sudden, they've limited how much you can do with the crackback blocking and things like that, and for good reason. But there's nothing more fun than turning around, getting the other way, putting guys on their butts, and clearing the avenue for your teammate to get to the end zone. Because those opportunities, granted, they've come more often for the Gators than a lot of other teams. We take another look for our TV viewing audience at home and see right out there in front, Ricariel. Look, he's reading it the whole way. Wards off the stiff arm, gets to throw down the quarterback one more time tonight. And Bowes from there, he knew there was no doubt about it. That's a beautiful play.
That was a great, great play by Remy Bowes, wearing 32 tonight instead of 8. Bowes, who saw limited time a season ago at tight end, We saw him at tight end a couple of times this season, but really he's a defensive specialist, and he had the pick 6 there for the Gateway Gators. Plaskin boots into this one. This one will carry down the center and into the end zone for a touchback.
Plaskin's kick goes
Most importantly, stay in bounds.
for a touchback.
So it'll be at the 20 instead of the 35. Great stuff.
That stuff makes a difference. I mean, Penn Trafford hasn't been able to capitalize on it tonight, but as you continue to play talented teams, McKeesport, Central Catholic, and as things look more and more likely, a postseason matchup with a talented team in 5A, you start to think that that's going to become a reality as long as you don't get tripped up against Norwin. Then you want to mind those P's and Q's, tighten those things up a little bit.
Conlon Green sends his team to the line of scrimmage, and they will settle in a pistol formation with a tight end and a wing to the right, and they'll motion 2 receivers to the short side left. Handoff to the ground go the Warriors. It's Tasso Whipple, who is met at the line of scrimmage, has enough strength to push his way for a yard or 2. A gang of Gators there, including Matthew Brooks, Remy Bose,
Stop by
Ahmad Harris.
Second down.
Really surprised that they kept it on the ground here. I figured they'd be in a must-pass sort of mindset. I'm sure they will here moving forward. Green has had opportunities. He missed the probable touchdown on the last drive. They've had some success passing the ball here, and they're going to need to find some more here if they want a chance to get back into this one.
Metcalf motions from right to left. Looking left the whole way is Green. He'll step to the line of scrimmage and will be met by a host of black jerseys or dark gray jerseys.
Green on the
Regardless,
keeper.
Green is driven to the turf. Tackled by DeAndre Brimage, amongst others.
He has a man open there, wide open. Look at that, streaming right across the screen there at the bottom. Green just didn't look off of that check down target, the intended receiver. He eyeballed him the entire way and refused to look down the field at any other open receivers, much to his detriment.
Third down and 7. Green looks left, throws left, completes the pass. It's enough for a Warriors first down. Catching that
Pass is
football.
complete to Tyler.
Was
Covered
Tyler
by
Anthony.
Harris. First down. for the
Tackle made
Warriors
by Harris.
at their own 38.
Ahmad Harris, Macariel, tons of tackles tonight. Remy Bose with the big pick 6. Dallas Harper with an INT tonight. The Gator D shows up each and every week. Whether it was in the loss at Franklin Regional or in the other victories all season long, as Green tosses this one to the right and the pass will be incomplete. Green was pressured. He was looking for Morasti, who couldn't hang on to that one as he was sliding down.
Boy, he got popped by Harris, who, much to his credit, you look at the top of the screen, he's able to hit him right in the chest there. Doesn't go high, doesn't go low, clean hit. That's exactly what you want to do. Make that quarterback think before he throws it every time. That's a nice play there by Harris. Certainly had to disrupt the flow of that pass just a little bit.
2 receivers right, 1 on the left, Green in the pistol. Looks to the sideline to get the calls from John Ruane. Green looks right, throws right, and the pass is incomplete as Dallas Harper read it, dove at it, but couldn't pull it in. As the intended receiver was Ben Cardiff. Parenthetically, it looked like Cardiff moved a little before the snap, but the officials didn't catch it.
Is there anything more fun on this team than watching Dallas Harper read a quarterback's eyes and make a play on the ball? Very nearly another interception there. And we talked about it earlier tonight. He's inching in on the previous record of single season interceptions for a Gator, which is 11.
Play action. Spinning out is Green. Green throwing left, and the pass will be incomplete as flags will fly everywhere. Remy Bose was in coverage, but he never turned around and
Pass is incomplete.
Well, the intended receiver was, I believe, Eric Black. Henry Bowes was in the way.
Pass interference. Defense, number 32, 15-yard penalty. The result is a first down.
That's the same explanation we gave for the PI call that gave the Gators 15 yards and new life when Dallas Harper was streaking down toward the end zone. I mean, if you're a DB, you got to turn, you got to make a play on the ball. You can't just simply prohibit a receiver from being able to make a play. They're going to call that every time.
First and 10 for Penn Trafford with the ball inside of Gators territory at the 47 after the penalty. Conlon Green in the pistol. Pressures as he rolls to his right-hand side, lofts it down the field, and the pass will be incomplete, I do believe. Well, they say it's a caught football. They say it's caught. It certainly looked like the first foot of the receiver came down out of bounds before the inbounds foot came down, as Carmen Metcalf did catch the football, but there's a difference between catching the football and a completed pass. Oh, no, that left foot came in first.
Did.
I didn't see the left foot. Of course, we've had cramped quarters this evening. Earlier we talked about the fact that tonight's game is on commercial television. Well, we ended up losing one of our 2 booths for our production, so we got sandwiched in a good bit in our primary announcer's booth with one of our cameras as well, which has cut off some of our field of vision as the Warriors go to the ground, running to the left-hand side. Owen DeMary, and DeMary felt he didn't have a knee go down as the tackle was made by Leonard Sherrod. But the officials do not concur, and it'll be a gain of 5 and second and 5.
Yeah, you can see the knee very clearly. Right knee touches there. That's a good call. Drive's taking a lot of time here for Penn Trafford, down to just a little over 2 minutes left, down 18.
Green throws it across the middle. It's caught for a Penn Trafford touchdown. Pass completed to Tyler Anthony. And the Warriors have just a bit of life.
Yeah, Anthony just gets a step inside, simple slant route. Now if you're Penn Trafford, you've got to go for 2. So you're down still 12 points. You want to make this now.
Well, they have the PAT unit out there.
For the extra point.
Logan Swartz, left-footed kicker. PAT is up and good.
The kick is good.
It's 21-10 with 2:13 to play. And when you add up the amount of time that Penn Trafford used on that drive, and then that they go for 1 instead of 2 there, is the thought right now John Ruane may be not giving up but waving the white flag at the same time?
Hard to say. I mean, you take the easy 1 there, I guess. You're going to have to, if you score again, go for 2 before then trying to get it again for a field goal. But, you know, we talked about it. Penn Trafford had to burn a timeout early in this second half, and that looms large now for what is already a very improbable comeback attempt here. But all things you consider and all things you think about.
One other thing you have to think about is how many times Gateway did not come up with an onside kick against Plum a couple of weeks back.
I'm sure they've seen that film for sure.
And Gateway's going to use a timeout. They want to make sure the hands team is ready.
Timeout, Gators.
Their final timeout of the half.
So Gateway uses their final timeout. And you can see Gateway had overloaded to the near side, but you've got to watch out with a kicker who could go either way. You know, he could go, look like he's going to the right and then kick it back to the left. And when you're short on that left-hand side, it gives the Warriors an opportunity to get that ball.
You get this back here, collect 1 first down. For all intents and purposes, you walk out of here a winner on homecoming night. So you really want to, as we said before, mind those P's and Q's, because if you let up and 1 play breaks, the dam breaks, and you get 2 and it's 21-18, it's improbable, but you've got to be mindful. Things can spiral and change very quickly.
So Gateway settles with 4 second-row men. And the kick will go to the right, and it's bobbled and tipped around and will go out of bounds. Well, that was very fortunate for the Gateway Gators because the front line player for the Gateway Gators, Kenny Lewis, tipped it. It bounced over there. No Gator was able to get to where the football was at the time, as Derek Selby, I think, was the closest Gator there.
Gator ball.
That was a good kick. I mean, that's exactly
The
what
kick
you wanted
was
to do.
legally touched by the receiving team and then went out of bounds. First, Gateway.
So basically what that description means is that after a legal touch by the Gateway Gators, it will be 1st and 10 where the ball crossed the far boundary, and that is the 46-yard line. So we will see another heavy dose of Jaquan Reynolds.
You'd have to think all you need is one more first down. You don't want to do anything that's going to stop the clock here for Penn Trafford.
And there's Jaquan Reynolds, who stumbled out of the gate, took the handoff well, though, and got back to the line of scrimmage, bringing up 2nd and 10.
Stop by 75. Harrisovich.
That's all right. That's all right. You'd like to get this first down here. You're going to force Penn Trafford at some point here to burn both of their timeouts. It's still a 2-score game. You've still got yourself in the driver's seat here.
Still 15 seconds on the play clock as the game clock winds down towards 1 minute and 35 seconds remaining in the 4th quarter. And the Gators will snap the ball with less than 5 seconds on the play clock. Handoff, Reynolds wiggling, driving, and brought down inside of Warriors territory at the 48. And now Penn Trafford will use a timeout.
3rd down.
And that makes sense because the Warriors wanted to conserve their timeout after first down since they only had 2 remaining because they had to burn one earlier in an unfortunate circumstance for John Ruane and his visitors.
A nice second effort there by Reynolds to make this a 3rd and very manageable. You wonder, even if they come up short by a yard or 2, if they wouldn't consider going for it on 4th down to just end this game outright. If you give the ball back at about the 45-yard line, there is always the opportunity for a quick strike or a long touchdown. But other than this last drive where the Gators were clearly playing a little more prevent defense, pulling back a little bit and just trying not to allow any big, quick scores, there's just not a whole lot of time left in this game for Penn Trafford. So if you make them have to earn their way down the field, you don't give up anything big behind you. Just might not be enough time here, especially with Penn Trafford going to be out of timeouts when they get the ball back.
3rd down and 4. Ball at the 48, the line to gain the 44. Birch pulls it out of the belly of the tailback, and he'll take off running up the gut and pick up the Gateway first down. I think that was an RPO with no PO. I think it was basically fake everybody out, thinking that you're going to Reynolds. Straight drop back for Birch.
Yeah, look, none of the receivers are looking whatsoever like they're ready to catch a pass. You're spot on there, Adam. The guys just sort of got downfield to play as dummies. They opened up just enough room. Birch, again, elusive, able to make at least one man miss. And that should do it here.
Yeah, Louis Douglas, one of the offensive linemen, was driving a Penn Trafford Warrior down the field. Had that actually been a pass play, it would have been a
Birch takes the knee.
illegal man downfield against Gateway, but instead Birch picks up the first down, and the Gators take the knee in a very non-conventional victory formation. And one more snap, and that should do it. Snap true, knee down.
And that should do it.
And that'll do it as the Gateway Gators
The Gators come out on top.
will ring the bell in Monroeville
Gateway 21 and Penn Trafford
as the
10.
bell returns to Monroeville, PA.
The battle for the victory bell is a long
We'll have to change that score, change the date, almost a year to the date from last year's heartbreaking loss for the Gators, where they came up just a little bit short on a late drive. Today there was really no doubt about it. The Gators, this was a lot like the Mount Lebanon game. It was low scoring, it was close for a lot of it, but you felt throughout all of it that the Gators were the better team and a worthy winner tonight.
Well, the bell tolls tonight for the Warriors, and you can see the Gateway Gators coming over to ring that bell.
Congratulations to the Gators on the Battle of the Bell. And now on behalf of the Gateway High School administration, we'd like to thank all of you for attending. Have a safe
The Gateway
drive
Gators
home.
victorious,
Good night,
defeating the
everyone.
Penn Trafford Warriors by a final score of 21-10. As the bell continues to ring here in Monroeville, Pennsylvania.
Ladies and gentlemen, a reminder that both
Just a
bands
classic game
will
between
perform
two longtime
following the
rivals.
game tonight. Both
Congratulations
bands
to
are getting
Gateway
ready
and congratulations
perform.
to Penn Trafford on a hard-fought football game.
Absolutely. I mean, this is what makes high school and football, or high school football, college football so exciting, are these rivalry games, are the fun trophies that you come away with and these memories, players being able over the generations to say, I remember when I played in this version of the game. I got to play in the Battle of the Bell, and we didn't get this game for a little while, and now we have it back, and it's exciting. And now for the second straight year, competitive, physical games that were close till the end of the game, and this year it was the Gators who made the timely plays, a big pick six in the second half, and they come away victorious, and more than anything, really put themselves in the driver's seat to qualify for the postseason.
The bell was quiet for nearly 50 years. It was found in a warehouse somewhere. The bell dates back nearly 100 years, like I said earlier. It was when the Trafford team would play the Pitcairn Railroaders, but then Pitcairn merged with Monroeville to form Gateway, and Trafford merged with Penn to form Penn Trafford, and the bell disappeared, and then it was discovered, and then in 2008 the bell came back, and these two teams have played for it each and every year since then. It's a great tradition, a great rivalry, and it's great to see the Gators ring the bell here in Monroeville on homecoming night.
Certainly one of those games you circle at the beginning of every year that you're really excited to see. And I think to boot, it's so much fun that both of these teams have been so competitive and so consistent for the better part of the past decade. You know, last year, Penn Trafford winning the state title, Gateway 2 WPIAL titles in the last 5 years. And every year, this game sort of signifies who's going to be the front runner going down the stretch, who has the inside track to win the Big East Conference.
Well, Vince, we saw a great football game today by the Gateway Gators, most especially running the football. Jaquan Reynolds on the offensive side. And, of course, the defense shines brightly week in and week out.
Yeah, the running game really set the tone for the offense and gave them a comfortability to where the game didn't have to be all on Birch's shoulders. And I think that allowed the entire offense to feel a little bit more comfortability, and it helped them take care of the ball. I mean, they 2 interceptions in the first half, 2 turnovers, gave Penn Trafford opportunities, a clean second half for the offense. Didn't put the ball on the ground, didn't have any interceptions. Birch, very limited in what he had to do. And I thought that was really the path for success forward for this Gateway offense. Allowed them to utilize the play-action pass, RPO. It was a very well-coached second half from an offensive perspective. In the defense, I mean, what else can you say? I mean, we could call out every single individual out of those 11 and call out specific plays that they make. Not only is it a collective unit that's very, very talented, but the individuals shine at different moments and raise each other up by the quality of play of each single person on the defense.
Dallas Harper, big game defensively. He had an INT. We saw Ricariel make play after play after play. We saw Ahmad Harris make big plays tonight on the defensive side, but no bigger play than Remy Bose with the pick six that really put the nail in the coffin.
That was absolutely the play of the game, and that was the one that was the no-doubter, right? Really put that game out of reach. Ricariel getting down the field, getting in front of Green, solidifying that path to the end zone, and from top to bottom, the pressure that made Green accelerate, get that ball out quickly. Bose, quick reaction time, had to scoop that one up, had to go down a little bit for it, didn't put the knee down, didn't drop the ball, and he immediately got racing the other way, and the guys cleared the avenue for him. It just was exemplary. Exemplified really what this defense did tonight, working in unison, but highlighting the things that each individual does very, very well.
We saw a rivalry game tonight in conference. We saw a non-conference rivalry game earlier when the Woodland Hills Wolverines visited Antamarino Stadium. Next week, It's a non-conference rivalry again, an interclassification rivalry as the Gateway Gators travel to McKeesport to take on the Tigers, an old conference rival of the Gators.
I'm really excited for this game next week. McKeesport now 7-0. They beat Connellsville handily tonight. So it's 7-0 versus 6-1, 5A, 4A, two teams that are going to be in the top 2 or 3 of their own classification. I highly anticipate this is going to be the game of the week in the WPIAL next week, and I'm really excited that we get to be a part of it. These are the games that are the most fun to watch because it's two athletic teams that beat this Penn Trafford team by very similar scores, and I anticipate a low-scoring, physical, ground-and-pound type of game next week.
Well, like Vince said, we will have the call for you on that game from McKeesport Stadium next Friday night. It'll be Vince and Spencer Witt on the call for you for that one, and our whole crew will be there to bring you the action here on the Trib Live High School Sports Network as well as on YouTube. But we thank you for joining us on the Trib Live High School Sports Network and the NFHS Network tonight as the Gateway Gators defeat the Penn Trafford Warriors 21-10. Well, for our entire crew, I'm Adam Gusky. Thanking you for joining us, and for my broadcast partner, Vince Russo. We'll talk to you again next week. Lots of action here on Gateway Productions, and we thank you for joining us tonight here in Monroeville as the bell continues to ring.